Hey, what's going on? Welcome back to episode 8. No, you're not welcome back to episode 8.
Has it
episode
been 8?
8, yes.
Wow.
You're welcome back to the show, Four Cauliflower Ears. It is episode 8. It's the first time we actually shoot episode 8. We're not back to episode 8 either.
We're here for the first time,
For
just
the
like
first
you.
time, yes, just like you. Anyway, so today we're not gonna have any guests. We're running short on people. No, I'm kidding. We just decided not to. That's gonna be like
We got a whole gym. of
Did I?
It's kind of tough because of the time frame. It's not tough, but
We could have had somebody, but we decided to have it actually on our own this time because we haven't done it on our own since the first one. And we kind of wanted to talk about a little more about us,
right. About our interests.
About our interests more so than have somebody, and then discuss, which is fun and games, of course, and interesting, But we decided to do this one on our own, and we're gonna talk about specifically about Jiujitsu and MMA today a little bit more than we do usually. I do have a question totally unrelated to martial arts, just as usual.
as usual.
Yeah. But anyway, I'll throw it in somewhere like a curveball.
Okay.
That's a baseball term. You need a Bulgarian to explain that. The baseball terminology. Anyway, so...
Do they play baseball in Bulgaria?
Baseball? No, we don't. But I did have my grandma had a neighbor upstairs who was half Cuban, and he spent some time in Cuba. By the way, Bulgaria used to be a communist country at the time, so him spending time in Cuba and going out to Bulgaria didn't mean the same as him coming here. He didn't escape Cuba to go to Bulgaria. He just, he went to live there. So anyway, so he grew up in Cuba and he played baseball. And he kind of organized. Now he went to university in Bulgaria later, years after, and he organized a little team, baseball team. So that's interesting because my first. I mean, I've obviously seen it on TV and stuff, like just highlights and shit. They don't show it, but they don't show televised games. But I've seen highlights, and my very first exposure to a baseball game was his team, which was a university team from Bulgaria, against a few, I have no idea how he organized that shit, a few college teams from the United States. So they did like a little, it was like 4-team tournament or something like this, of course.
That's pretty interesting.
His team got blown out the first. Yeah, but I mean, cool. Of course they would, right?
Yeah.
But I remember, I already spoke some English at the time. I actually spoke pretty well at the time too. But I remember getting on the pitch after on the field after the game, and I was talking to one of the American guys, and I got one of the baseballs, and I said to him, "Can I have it?" And he goes like, "No, I'm sorry."
It's too expensive.
I rejected mine. So I'm like, motherfucker.
No happy ending.
Imperialists.
I watch these YouTube shorts.
Keep your fucking ball.
I watch these YouTube shorts where there's you see it's like these wholesome experiences at baseball games where someone will catch a ball and they'll walk it over to a little kid or something. Yeah. Really sweet. Not for you though. No. They don't do that in Bulgaria.
They didn't do that to me, and I wasn't a little kid either. I may not have been sweet either. I have no idea. I am a sweet guy, but still, But I very politely asked him, because I was, okay, so the thing is, I never had any, I had been studying English at the time, but I never had any kind of experience communicating in English. The guy that I went to the games with had spent some time in Iraq and Kuwait back before the wars. We're talking about the 80s. And he spent about 4 or 5 years there, and he studied in American school. It was like a diplomat school. And so he spoke English. He spoke it better than I did because he had some practice. So I remember we were together, right? And I went up, we went down on the field together. And I went up to him and I'm like, yo, I really want to ask him to get a ball, but what should I say? You know, like, how do I say it? He's like, just tell him, can I have it? And I went to him and I said, can I have it? And I was sure this is going to fucking work.
Did he know what you were talking about?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, of course. What else am I talking about?
I don't know.
I picked up the ball from the floor. You know, the balls were there on the floor. You know, I picked it up. I showed it to him and I said, can I have it? What else? You think I'm asking him for money?
I don't know how they do it in Bulgaria.
What? Begging?
Anything.
I didn't even ask him for an autograph. Let me just check this.
Can I have it? It's like, pause.
I think that guy made a bigger deal of it than I did. Shit, I was like so happy with, you know. But anyway, let bygones be bygones, I say.
How long ago was that?
I got my own balls here. Once I came to the States. We're talking 1980.
Oh, wow.
89. It was around the time, maybe 1990. No, it was before 1990. 89 probably.
Oh, you spoke English back then?
Yeah. Do
they speak English in Bulgaria?
Nah, I don't know right now. I have no idea. I'm sure a lot of people speak English. You got to understand that right now, a lot of people around the world speak English because of internet. It's just globalized everything, and English has become the WWW language, right?
Right.
So, I mean, even though they have, you know, even people that didn't study it in school or didn't put any effort into it in school, now probably understand it, if not speak it, a little more than back then.
Right.
But back then we studied in school, but it was like elective, you know. It was like I remember I did not study it in school. I did study in school, but I didn't learn it in school. I learned it. My parents got me my grandma's friend was a private tutor, and she was the one who taught me English initially. That's why my only experience in English was with her, conversation that I had with her. But and obviously watching movies and stuff like this. But I never had experience really communicating with people.
Could you watch it, but did it have subtitles?
Man, that shit is so confusing to me.
That was the next part.
Yeah. So right now I watch movies with subtitles in English. American movies with subtitles I put the subtitles in English if they're available. I don't really care.
Why do you do that?
It's a habit, man.
You speak perfect English.
Yeah, I don't need them, but it's a habit. If there are subtitles, I like to have them. And
I will watch sometimes on like YouTube. I'll have the subtitles on in certain situations, just because it depends. It's just going to be easy to understand. But most of the time, no.
No, of course. I mean,
unless I'm watching something obviously
for instance,
that's foreign.
But back then, I would watch an American movie or.
I'm sure it helps you learn English faster. Or learn
for sure.
Faster.
Yeah.
Because that's like how a baby learns. You're listening to it and you're.
And I'm reading.
Well, not how a baby learns.
Right, but I don't really need it now.
Right.
Unless it's some slang, but I've pretty much heard.
You have to pick
most
up,
of the. I've heard most of the slang, I guess, in all these years.
I mean, now the difference in slang is probably because you're just old.
Except for the kids slang,
right,
but I'm picking that up from my son right now.
Yeah.
It's like the other day.
Like I had to ask you. I remember I asked you about Riz when I first started hearing Riz, and I was like,
"Dude, we're old."
From context clues, after a couple times, I was like, I think I know what they're talking about. But I remember the day that I asked you.
The day you asked me, I had learned what Riz means.
You remember
probably
that?
Like 2 months before that.
See, because how I put it all together, you were like, it's like charisma.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, that makes sense.
I had only learned that like a couple of months before that, and it's because I Googled that shit.
Yeah. I'm too lazy now. I'm into language. I enjoy language.
I enjoy languages, man. I am very curious about languages. I am curious to learn about languages, and curious to learn about the history of languages. In other words, the evolution of languages.
Sure.
And when I say evolution of languages, I would be interested to learn the evolution of languages that I speak. So I would learn evolution of Bulgarian, Russian, English, obviously, Spanish. But
Is Bulgarian and Russian close?
they're close. They're close.
Are they as close as, like, say, Ukrainian and Russian?
No, those are closer to one another.
Are they, okay, and now, are there differences similar to the differences in the Romantic languages, like Spanish and English?
Spanish, no, English is not a Romantic language. English is a Germanic language. Spanish, Italian, French, Romanian, Portuguese. Those are the Romantic languages. We call the Latin languages, whatever.
Right.
But not you have the Germanic languages, which is all the Scandinavian languges.
German seems so far away from English, though.
Oh yeah, I mean, but they were. But interestingly enough, speaking of which, I don't know what this thing is turning into right now.
I know. We're going to talk about it.
Yeah, we're really going to put a lot of emphasis on Jiu-Jitsu and MMA. But let me tell you about some random shit.
The history of languages.
Some random shit. What Riz means. Now it came to me. Now, in the time of Romeo and Juliet. No, in the time of what was the play by Shakespeare that was about Denmark? Macbeth. Was it? Not. It wasn't Denmark. It was the Danish rule in England. So they were speaking Danish, which was basically like a Viking language, right? The Scandinavian Viking language. I guess it was close to Swedish and all that stuff.
Totally different.
Right. Different from English. Yeah. But I'm pretty sure it sounded different from what it is today, from what the Scandinavian languages are today. But definitely different from what English is today. And English, I think, sounded more like that language back then.
English used to sound crazy now.
Yeah. English used to sound very Germanic, right? But I guess it got mixed up with French. So here's the thing. The French invaded England, then the Normans, I guess. They invaded England in, I don't know, it was after the Vikings, so whatever, 10th, 11th century, 11th century, I think. And they held it for like quite a while. They had a whole dynasty of kings. And so when they invaded England, their language became the official language of the court. And let's not forget that at the time, people were not educated widely as they are now.
Sure.
So if you didn't know how to read, if you knew how to read, which was a small amount of the population, small portion of the population, I should say, those were clergy and fucking,
you had something going
tradesmen,
on. Sure.
Tradesmen, people that actually work with numbers and letters. Not, I'm not talking about workers, not a blacksmith or something. I don't think blacksmith needed to know how to read, and I don't think they did in the first place. But anyway, so the language was French, and so what happened was all these words that we have, like table in French, table, right? Has nothing to do with German. For Germany's Tisch, I believe, right? So it doesn't.
You a polyglot over here?
No, but I used to work in a German restaurant, so fucking yeah. So anyway, so a lot of words are very similar with German, and a lot of and obviously Scandinavian languages are in the same group as German, and a lot of words are similar to French or come from French, and or Latin, I should say in that case. But yeah, so
Latin's so strange.
Yeah, so you get where all this mix in English comes from. I think that's why the spelling is so fucked up in English too, because it's like one of the hardest languages.
I heard it's pretty hard to learn.
Yeah, for me, like I said, I started learning it when I was very young. I was 7 years old, I think, when I started learning. Or no, 8. So, but still, and so. We write with a different alphabet, but I already knew the Latin alphabet, which is the one, you guys use. So I wasn't that much of a stretch, but the spelling was a bitch, right?
I'm sure.
Right now it's not, but obviously back then.
Yeah.
And and as hard as it may be, it's quite amazing. I watch my son typing something, in like comments and shit on YouTube, whatever. Or typing a description of his video that he made, and he's typing it in perfect, and he's 13, and his spelling is I think better than mine was at 13, and I wasn't a bad speller either.
Yeah.
You know, I'm talking about spelling in Bulgarian at the time.
Kids are smart
So
these days.
yeah, I think right now kids are exposed to a lot more
Sure.
than before, and you can blame or credit social media for that. But I think that,
And Junior's pretty smart.
I mean, he's taken after, obviously. He's got a great example.
Junior is pretty sharp.
You know what
for
he told
sure.
me? What he told me. So tomorrow's my birthday.
Oh,
Yeah.
happy birthday, brother.
Thank you. So, and thank you all.
How old are you?
I'm gonna be 48.
Oh, wow. You're trying to catch up
But
with me.
my wife is a year older than me,
Okay.
and my son tells me just before I left, he's like, "Man, you're gonna be 48 tomorrow," and I'm like, "Yeah," and he's like, "That's weird, man, because you look older than mom." I sent him to bed.
He's 13. Go to bed.
Nah,
I love
kidding.
that.
Yeah, but yeah. So anyway, now with the languages are out of the way,
Yeah.
and yeah,
That was just the intro.
yeah. I hope. Yeah, that was anyway.
It's a filter.
We wasted a whole lot of tape,
Just want to see who's really down.
dude. Imagine if we were videotaping it like an actual videotape.
Oh
We're gonna
my
be like,
gosh.
fuck. It's like, first of all, we only have 120 minutes
Right. On videotape.
on videotape. Dude, remember the
Like VHS?
like
these?
that? Yeah, I'm talking about the cassettes that we used to rewind with the
With the pencil?
With the pencil.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, it's good old times. Don't miss any of it.
It's like that Biggie lyric.
Dude, yeah.
Played till the tape popped. That used to happen. I played tape so many times it'd break, and then you have to try to put tape
you have
on
to
it.
take it out, and you have to pull the actual tape out of the.
Dude.
It's called the head of the.
The heads.
The head
Yeah.
of the tape player, and you have to pull it out of there, and then you have to clean the heads because
Dude.
they used to get dirty with dust and stuff. So
See, I never did any of that.
I cleaned them with a little like Q-tip and
Alcohol.
and alcohol. Yeah.
How do I know this?
I don't know. I don't know how you don't know it, but you never done it.
Never did that.
Yeah. Privilege.
I would do
That's
that-
called privilege
I
right
would
there.
work on the tape, but I never got mechanical.
Yeah. No, so I used to do that too, man. I fucking, I mean, yeah.
I look back and it's just so nostalgic with tapes. I love tapes.
Remember I gave you a tape?
I-
The Metallica, I have it at home on my desk.
I see it every day.
And I've never listened to it.
It's right. I had the plastic off, but I have a tape player. I played it before, but I have
you
like a
did?
little tape player.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yep.
I thought mine worked. I had a tape player, but I thought it worked, but it didn't.
I just
I don't
love
know what-
tapes. I love tapes.
Yeah, so I bought it, one for you and one for me. It was the Metallica. It was some.
It was
something
yellow.
It was the yellow. Yeah, it was like last year's album or something, and it's a great album, by the way. But I had to listen to it on Spotify.
Sign of the times.
I killed it on Spotify, though. I'll tell you that. But yeah, kids these days, they'll never know.
They'll never know.
They'll never know.
Well, they probably will actually. Just how stuff comes back.
I
Like
asked-
records now.
Well, I
Records
asked
are
my
crazy.
son. Hey, if I tell you to do this, what does that mean? He's like, I have no idea. I said, roll down your window. He's like, what is that? What do you mean?
Yeah.
Exactly.
My good friend from Virginia, Caesar, rest in peace, love you, buddy. He told me the funniest story. He has a son, and he was telling his son. His son is like a grown man now, but when his son was little, his name was Kyler. He was like, roll the window down, and his son was like, I don't know. And Caesar was getting impatient, he was like, roll the window down. And the kid is like, I don't know what to do. And then when Caesar figured out, that he didn't understand the parlance, the language, it was really funny. He told me the story.
Or hang up the phone.
Hang up the phone.
Where does that come from? What do you mean hang up? Just press stop.
I saw a video where a person was like, if you were trying to make a hand gesture of someone using the phone, kind of like how, people do like this.
Or how about this?
Well, the person was like talking to a kid, what would you do? If you don't have a phone in your hand, but you want to make a hand gesture, kind of like signaling to someone that you're talking on the phone, what would you do? And it was a person asking multiple. It was like 3 kids, and they all did this. It was so weird.
Oh shit!
I was like, oh, it was so cringy to me, but so funny. It's like, I'm like
God.
wrong.
I remember when the cell phones came out first. They weren't that. I mean, they were bigger, obviously, but they were thicker, right?
Right.
And people would hold them like a phone receiver. But the phone receivers, the old ones, not the cordless ones, but the old phone receivers. I'm sure you've come across those. They were like, have you? Yeah,
the ones
you actually hang up.
My mom still has one.
Yeah. So those actually were.
Wait, you mean just
handle.
the thing?
Yeah. Just the phone receiver itself.
Not this one.
No. Well, yeah, the actual the part you hold to your ear.
Because there's one that has it's got the sound and the microphone all in one.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's the one I'm talking about.
Okay,
yeah.
the older one is just.
Oh no,
just
a listening and then you're talking
right.
about. Dude, we're talking.
She's got one of those.
That's 100 years ago.
Dude, those are crazy.
Those I think were discontinued because I've seen movies from the not from the 30s but from 1930s but set in the 1930s and they already had the regular phones with the phone
with
receiver.
the handle?
Yeah, where you talk and you listen. But I remember before you would do like call me like this or call me. Because you're holding the actual receiver, right? And you're listening and you're speaking, right? Then, when the cell phones became a little thinner, people started holding them because how else are you going to hold them? Like this, right? You will hold them like this. You put your finger
with
here.
The finger, yeah.
Your finger here, right? Now people don't even, now you fucking, for no reason, you have people on speaker, you know? It's so weird.
I don't do the speaker thing, but I do.
I hate it when people do that in public because
it's weird.
Why do you, first of all, nobody wants to listen to you, and second of all, why do you put the other person on speaker?
Right.
What if he tells you that he got blue balls?
Right.
Or something
or
like
something
this,
crazy,
you know?
Right.
Anyway, another topic out of the way.
Check that shit off.
Check. So let's hit that UFC thing.
The last one.
The last one, 306, right?
Yeah.
As of the recording of this, 306.
Because the one coming up is a little. I mean, there's going to be some decent fights. The main event. Benoit Saint Denis against Renato Moicano. I'm interested in that fight.
You're talking about the fight night, right?
The fight night that's coming up.
Yeah. I was thinking about 307. I thought you referred to 307. Poatan and what's his name?
Oh, that's not this week, but next week.
The one after. Yeah.
That's with Pereira, and Roundtree.
Yes.
Obviously, I'm gonna watch it.
There was
but it's
can
like,
you pull it up? I know you had it there.
Why does Khalil Roundtree? Why is he getting a title shot? That's kind of weird.
I don't know,
man.
Weird. I was wondering myself, but I gotta tell you.
I mean, he's big and everything. He used to be a heavyweight. Have you seen
his
the
record
pictures?
is 14-5 or 15.
He used to be super big. Now he's all like, cut up.
I think Poatan is also bigger than what he fights at, obviously.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think he could go to heavyweight
this
easily.
fight, this card?
307.
Oh, 307, Poatan. Okay.
You go.
I'm making it so hard.
Yeah. That's what she said.
Ah.
There it is. So, Alex Pereira, Roundtree, Raquel Pennington, Juliana Pena.
No one cares about that fight.
Jose Aldo, Mario Batista.
People are going to watch it, but who cares about that fight?
It's like, Kayla Harrison.
I want to see Kayla Harrison.
I want
to see what she does.
Who did she lose against? She hasn't lost.
She lost in PFL.
Well, yeah, but against who?
The girl that's the title holder now that's about to fight Cyborg.
Okay.
The short hair girl.
What's her name?
I think she's Brazilian. I don't remember. But she's tough.
Oh, no, that just shows her record in the UFC. I was going to say, let me see her record, but it only shows the record in the UFC.
I think she won PFL twice, I think.
She did, yeah. She got like a couple of $1 million. Yeah. But so this is, and then in the preliminaries you got Stephen Thompson. But aside from that, it's
Joaquin Buckley. He's a little annoying. I think he's going to win that fight, but I'm curious to see what that fight looks like.
Then you have
I don't necessarily need to watch it, but I will.
You have 308. The 308.
Now that's
going to be firecracker.
Yeah.
You got Ilya Topuria versus Max Holloway.
Dude.
I think this is going to be really good. I'm very excited.
Who are you going for in that fight?
Man, I'm going for Ilia Topuria.
I'm going for Max Holloway.
I love watching Ilia Topuria, man.
He's good, but he's weird.
I don't know. How is he weird?
It's hard for me to differentiate sometimes between a personality and a fight style. I mean, I can differentiate, obviously, but I'm going to root for the person that I like more.
Yeah.
Now, I respect Ilia Topuria. He's really, really good. Obviously, his boxing is crazy.
I think he's really good. I think his boxing is better than Max Holloway.
But
if that's going to be a
I think his boxing... Okay, I would tend to agree. His boxing,
his wrestling and jiu-jitsu is also very good. So
I'm less familiar with that.
Yeah,
his boxing is.
He's a black belt in jiu-jitsu too.
Is he?
And his wrestling is good. Yeah, it's really good. He's a very well-rounded fighter.
He's just a weirdo. It's like as soon as he got the title, he's acting like, oh, I want, I'm like, dude, you just got here.
Yeah.
You can't be. It's people. Once people get the title, it's just annoying to me how people just switch up.
Well,
I get it.
You know,
but
I think it's a different mindset because at first your mindset is
on the hunt.
On a hunt, and you're hungry, and you wanna get that belt, right? And you fight, and the more you win, the more you become confident that you are gonna get the belt, and then eventually you get the belt, right? And then it becomes a thing of, oh shit, now I have to defend that thing.
Right.
Now it's not about winning the belt, because if you lose a fight before you win the belt, it'll set you back in the rankings. Maybe one fight, maybe after another 1 or 2 fights, you're gonna get a chance again. But if you win the belt and you lose, and the next fight you're losing the belt if you lose, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then obviously you're gonna have a chance again to win it. But that's a different
possibly.
Well, most of the time you do get a chance to win the belt, to win it back.
I don't even know if I'd say most of the time. I know what you're saying. Look at how long did it take Israel to get a chance? Well, it took him a while because he took a lot of time off, but
he didn't fight. They sometimes
he lost to Strickland, and then there was
correct, and then
good amount of time.
Yeah, but Strickland lost to whoever he lost. And
Strickland never defended it.
He didn't defend it.
He didn't defend his title.
So what happened there?
Strickland.
I thought he lost, and then
Strickland beat Adesanya, and then Strickland fought Dricus.
Yes.
And lost.
Yeah.
Right. So he never defended it.
So that wasn't for the title?
No, he lost it.
Oh, that's what I mean. Yeah.
Yeah, he never defended it.
But
a lot of people
got it, and then he just didn't.
He got it and lost it.
I mean defended as in he fights another fight. He's defending the title in the next fight. He just didn't.
He didn't win it.
End up defending it.
Yeah. It's just, a lot of people think, and I don't know how much I agree with this. I tend to agree with it, but whatever. That you're not really the champion until you defend it. That you're not really the man. Look, if you get a title, in my book, you're the man. But I get it. Like a Connor.
Yeah.
To get the title and be like, oh, I got it, and then just to like run, and then he got the second title, which was a little sus, but still a big deal, and never not to defend it. It's like, dude, you did do something. You did something.
If you don't defend the title, you just vacate the title. That's it. Whatever, It is what it is. You won the title. I still think that
you're the champion. Yeah,
but I still think that getting there, you can get there and retire.
That would almost be better than getting it and losing it, in my opinion.
Well, look.
But the thing is to what I respect in a champion is a champion that likes fighting.
Sure, but what if you're in a situation where, like John Jones right now, he's a champion, but John Jones said
he's running.
He said right now that that's gonna be it for him. 2025 is gonna be a retired person. So this upcoming fight is gonna be his last fight.
In which you're right, he doesn't want to.
I mean,
he doesn't want to lose.
Well, yeah, but
and I get it.
But dude, he's 37, 38.
He's getting up there. It's about time.
When did he win his title first? Exactly. 2009.
Dude, like I've lived 2 lives since then.
Yeah. So he was the youngest champion at the time, right? Maybe still, I don't know. But the thing is,
he is still the youngest champion.
At 20, I think, or something like this, or 19, or 21, something like that.
I think it was 21 or 20.
Like that, whatever.
Because Raul Rosas is 19, and his big goal is to be the youngest.
but that means that John Jones got it because he's 37 now, if I'm not mistaken. Even if he's 36.
I don't think he's 36.
Yeah, he's older than that. He's got it for 16 years. I know that he hasn't fought a lot lately, but he used to fight regular. And the thing is, he's defended it. I'm not saying anything against him, but I'm giving you an example. Let's say that you're at the retirement age already, and you got one last shot to win the title, and you're like
Glover.
Fuck it. Yeah, you said fuck it, I'll win it. And then I'm just going to retire if I win it. If I lose it, I'm still going to retire.
I wish Glover would have done that.
Yeah, but I'm giving you an example why you would retire, you know?
But that's what GSP did the second time.
Yeah, but the GSP came back after 4 years absence.
And won it, which made it crazy.
Yeah, of course.
They're like trying to...
Mike Bisping? No. Yeah.
No. Okay. He won against Mike. Yeah. Mike Bisping,
Dude, he got him in that rear naked, and Mike Bisping after that said that he never experienced a squeeze like that before. And
put him out.
Yeah,
I remember that fight.
He put him out.
Dude, GSP looked so jacked. Oof, these things right here where they traps.
The traps, yeah.
Look crazy.
Yeah.
And I heard a story. It was Faraz Zahabi, John Danaher, and GSP. The morning of that fight, were eating breakfast.
Oh yeah, he was.
GSP
he had
was
stomach issues.
all jammed up.
Yeah.
And one thing that I thought was so cool, I was like, GSP. I kind of learned a lesson. He was like, if I tell them how bad I am, they probably won't let me fight, or it'll alter their coaching and it'll change the way they won't be comfortable. So he said he didn't say anything, and I just respected that so much to be in. What he said was just so much pain and discomfort.
Yeah.
And not to tell the people that you love that are in your corner because you're thinking about
They're
them.
going to talk you out of it.
And how that might affect their coaching.
Yeah.
And just to be like, to go through with it.
GSP also, if you've heard that, then you've heard for sure that GSP also had fear of fighting. He would be scared to go out there and fight until the moment that the ref said go.
I think it's like that with everybody, though.
Probably, but he was the one who admitted it.
Right.
Like he said, if you guys haven't heard that, he was saying that he was always scared for himself. You know, he knew he was ready, but he had that. It's not just anxiety and adrenaline, but fear that he would get hurt, that he scared to go out and fight. And he said that it was all that, he comes out with the bandana and the karate kimono and all that stuff. And he said that this was all like a tradition to him and all that stuff. But he was trying to look tough and angry. But inside he was like all fearful. And until the ref said go. And then it's just like training, right? It becomes... And that's how I haven't fought MMA, but that's how I felt when I competed in Jiu-Jitsu. Yeah,
that's what I said. It's like
the exact same thing.
Feels.
It's like you're getting like jitters and all that stuff.
It's butterflies.
Yeah, and it's like oh fuck, and especially in Jiu-Jitsu. I mean, but MMA probably even worse because if you're the main card, how many hours are you waiting for that shit?
You're waiting.
Yeah, you're waiting and all that stuff. It's like you're trying to stay. You got to pick the exact time to warm up so you can break that sweat. And get a little bit tired and get the adrenaline down a little bit right before, but not too early and not too late.
And then you're walking out.
Yeah.
Millions of eyes are on you. Not to mention you've got a legacy. You're a name. I can only imagine that because I'm telling you, in wrestling matches when I was in high school, wrestling matches in college, the couple of jiu-jitsu tournaments, every single time I've competed, this has been one of the things that's been with me all the time since I've competed is that fear of failure.
Yeah.
And that fear of, oh my gosh, if I lose, people won't like me anymore. I'm a failure and da-da-da-da-da. And over the course of my journey, dealing with that has been the main focus. I got into jiu-jitsu because once my eligibility in wrestling ran out, I hadn't done what I went to do to compete comfortably, to have good performances. I just hadn't done what I thought it should feel like. I hadn't completed that, and I got into jiu-jitsu. And I've done jiu-jitsu tournaments where I've been super scared and it got to me and it ruined my performance. Dude, there's this one tournament. I hate even thinking about this, but this shows me, it just shows one of the reasons why I love Gustavo so much. I did a tournament. I still had the T-shirt, I think. It was a no-gi tournament, and Gustavo showed up for it. Dude, they said go. I can just remember we got in half guard, and I just.
You were in top half?
I was top half, and I was just.
Well, how'd you get there? You took the guy down?
I can't remember. I don't think I definitely didn't take him down because I lost that match. The point is, I didn't do anything the whole match. I was just like scared. I was like, scared.
Yeah.
And I remember when I walked off the mat, Gustavo was like, "You froze up."
You did.
And I was like, oh, I know, Professor, I know. Subsequent to that, I did a tournament, and I won that tournament. I haven't conquered it all the way, but I think the whole thing is what I've learned. Because number one, Gustavo would also tell me too, he was like, Ian, nobody gives a shit.
Yeah, he says that.
Nobody gives a shit. The people that love you are going to love you whether you win, lose, whatever. So don't worry about that. Worry about performing. Nothing else is. And that's one of the things that I think about, that I thought about the next tournament that I won. I thought about that, and it was tough. I had the crazy adrenaline dump. That's the thing. I get these adrenaline dumps, and it's like after
normal,
like the first 30 seconds, you're just like, my body's not working anymore.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's like I'm stiff after like 30 seconds, and I'm like, and I just remember thinking, oh my God,
you know what I do? You know what I used to do is, and I see everybody's like warming up different, and great, everybody has a different routine, but I remember I've tried like flow rolling and shit like this, and I just find that it doesn't work for me,
What do you mean, before like a competition?
Before matches and stuff. But you know what I would do is I would do some push-ups and squats. Like, I'm not trying to break records or something. I'm not doing a PR or something, but I'm just doing maybe 15 push-ups, 10 squats.
To get your body activated?
Yeah, get it a little more like, and also it helped me with my adrenaline.
Because I will say this, I definitely did. Yeah. I've always been scared to warm up.
So you don't get tired?
So I don't get tired. I've heard multiple big-time wrestlers, multiple big-time coaches, Faraz Sahabi, all these guys talking about you have to warm up to get your body going.
Yeah.
And
the other thing is, I've heard, and I can't remember who said it. Very recently I heard it, when they say, you warm up, you get tired, and you catch your second wind.
During the match? As
you start the match.
Right.
That's optimal. Because your body's already warm and all that. And the thing, though, is nowadays, if you go to a tournament that's well organized, jiu-jitsu tournament, it tells you exactly what time your match is going to be.
Yeah, that
and
even then
it doesn't. It's not exact, but you know at least more or less that your first match is going to be at 5:00 p.m. and you're good with that, and you get there a little bit earlier, and you watch the how it's running and all that stuff. You get that feel for the mats, like they say. And then what I would do is like 10 minutes before that, I'll do some push-ups. I'll do some, so I'm ready. My body is like ready, and I'm already feeling my muscles are like not stiff,
right?
And rather than stretching and stuff like this, because stretching doesn't do anything for me.
Doesn't really do.
Like before, I would much rather do something like that's gonna pump the blood into my muscles.
That's definitely the best.
And I think that this helps me. I've done it in the last 2 tournaments, and before that, all I've done is like I did the 3 tournaments ago. I did
Jiu-Jitsu World League?
No, that was before that. It was some Eddie Bravo Invitational rules. I did I did so bad in that one. But anyway, I didn't get subbed. I think I've never gotten subbed except my very, very first match. As a white belt, I got subbed in like 17 seconds or maybe less. It was a bow and arrow, guard pull, I think the guy got second place. He was about to get his blue belt then, and I was like, it's like 4 months, 5 months into training or something like this. But anyway, my point here is that I've tried all kind of warm-ups before, and always my adrenaline is pumping and shit like this. And it's always like
Have
that.
you had bad adrenaline dumps ever?
Bad? No, not like the way you say it. No. You know, with me, it's like the ref said, ready, go. I mean, you're like there and you're sizing up your opponent and stuff like this. I've always liked to talk to guys in my bracket. Yeah. I always like to, because we line up in the same kind of, you know.
Do you do that to take the pressure down a little bit?
I do it to take the pressure down a little bit, to get a little bit like, you know, just to get into because some people like to look dangerous and shit like this.
Right.
And then, and I've seen people who look dangerous and we actually have the match and then we talk afterwards.
Yeah.
And they're like just another human being. And they're just as funny as you think they would be.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
They have the exact same problems as you do, but they're looking dangerous. I think it's more like nerves and shit.
Yeah,
or they're trying to look serious. So I always try to break the ice a little bit.
Or they're scared too and they're trying
not to do them a favor, but I think on some level for me, it's like I want to see that guy as a human being rather than someone that's about to fuck me up.
Some enemy. Like that's the animal that I got to fight.
Yeah,
I'm like, oh,
yeah.
Because then I've caught myself doing this too over the years. I'm like, oh, I'm wrestling. Like at weigh-ins in high school. I'm like, oh, shit. Because you're standing in a line. You're like, oh, that's my guy right there. Then you start looking at him. And you're like, oh, man, he's kind of like, he's got abs. Oh, shit, he looks like he might be tough. And that spirit starts eating and getting fatter and fatter.
And I bet you they feel the same way.
100%.
Unless it's someone that's like, I don't know, some other way.
The thing is, you're creating a dragon.
You are. And what I used to do is, whenever I got a chance, is I would, like I told you, I would talk to them. Break the ice a little bit, you know, where you train, that kind of shit. Even though I know where he trains because it says it on the fucking thing. Right. But it's like, how is it there? Yeah, how you like it, blah, blah, blah. Obviously, he likes it because he's competing for that
So what
team.
you been working on? What's your favorite move?
Yeah, I don't go as far as that, but because, you know, that sounds like, yeah. But I'm like, cool, man, like, you guys do a lot of no-gi and shit, you know, like that kind of stuff. Or you know, who's the main professor? You strike conversation. It kind of loosens up both of us.
Sure.
But it makes it easier for me to, when I get to the mat itself, you know, when they say go, then it's all business, but it kind of it gives you the same feel as if you're training, you know?
Like, more like I'm familiar.
Because, dude, if you go to an open mat, it's the exact same situation. You don't know anybody.
Right, it's very similar.
Let's say you go to an open mat to another gym. You don't know anybody, except maybe the person that brought you with.
Right.
That brought you with, yeah.
Right.
And you don't know anybody, and it's like, yeah, you get the butterflies and all that stuff. You don't know who's going to break your leg or someone who's the weirdo, you know, that you're going to jump on.
It's about dealing with the unknown.
Yeah.
And most of the time.
But what do we do? What do we do when you get to roll with somebody and you're like, hey, man, what's up? I'm Lubo. Hey, whatever.
Right.
And then you're like, and then the first thing they say is, you have any injury, especially if they see, you know. And you're like, no, I'm good. And then you start talking, hey, how you been? Good. All right. Slap, bump, boom, you go. And you have that little conversation or something. And that's an open mat. That's not a tournament or something.
Right.
So you try and emulate it and make it as similar to what you know.
That's a great point.
And then it becomes just a regular
you try
day
to
at
shine
the
a
office.
light
you know?
on it.
Yeah, we do that every day.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
So
that's a great
it
point.
shouldn't be any different. And
really
I've had fucking rounds way harder than competition.
In here,
yeah. And I don't usually go hard rounds like regularly.
Right.
But I've had harder rounds than any of the competition rounds I've done, matches I've done. And I think it's like, why, you know, and that's the beauty of Jiu-Jitsu, by the way, in my opinion, that we can compare to other martial arts, even compared to boxing, even compared to Muay Thai. Longevity-wise, we can spar at 100%.
Until your Elio's age.
Well, yeah. I mean, if you can, of course. But I'm saying longevity-wise, you can actually spar at 100% for years.
Right, without worrying about
CTEs and stuff. Whereas, even boxing, no kicks. Even boxing, right? I mean, I know people do it.
Sean
but
Strickland is probably going to be in trouble in 20 years. I hope not, and I hope he's not the case.
What's the name? Andrew
He's
Toney?
whatever, but it's like, oh man, all he does is spar.
Yeah.
Like, what is that all about? That's crazy.
What's the name? Andrew Toney, right? Was it? Then
The dude that he fought Randy Couture.
Yes. He fought Roy Jones Jr. as a boxer. He went from
I can see his face.
He went up. Yeah. Now he's out of it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I read articles with
what's his
Andrew Toney.
Is it Andrew Toney?
Is it Andrew? Isn't?
I don't know.
Look it up.
I'm
Look
gonna
it
find
up.
out.
Tony is his last name. But anyway, he said that he hated bag work. He hated running. He hated what they call road work. He hated bag work. He hated speed bags. He loved sparring, and he said usually you spar as a pro. You spar.
James Toney.
James Toney, yes. He said usually you spar like twice a week as a pro, and nowadays the new philosophy is you don't even go hard, right? But back in the day, you would go a little harder, like you've seen those Mike Tyson videos where he fucks up some as a 15-year-old, he fucks up some adults. But anyway, so he said he would do it every day. He hated doing all the other stuff that boxers, the fucking skipping rope and shit.
I mean, I get that. Just like some of the young dudes, they don't. All they want to do is roll.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I remember when I was kind of like that.
It does make you good in the
It
long
does
run.
make you good.
But it also
makes you tough.
There's other ways to become good and tough at the same time.
100%. And again, we're thinking about longevity here.
Longevity wise, yes, it's a lot better to use other ways, in my opinion, which
Because you're going to tear, even if you're going to tear your body up.
Yeah.
I heard Kai Altera said he was going like twice a day, all day.
And that's a small guy.
All the way up. He was a brown belt. And his body, his ligaments, everything was so beat up, he quit. And then he kind of came back and was struggling. When he told his story, I was like crying because he said he thought he should have been a black belt. His coach didn't give him his black belt. Or his
Who was he under? Because now he has a Coyote Association.
He's on himself now. I can't remember.
Maybe that's why he's on association.
I'm gonna try to find out. But the thing was,
he got his own black belt.
As a brown belt, he was rolling with somebody and he gave them some kind of good instruction, some advice. Yeah. And then his coach came over and gave him his black belt.
Oh wow.
And I think he said he started crying too, but it was like his coach was like, You've had the techniques and stuff, but you finally get the whole thing now.
Yeah.
And it's about giving as well as, I mean, he kind of turned it into something like that, but I thought that was very special. It reminds me a little bit of Gustavo, how it's more than just what you know. It's like kind of who you are.
Yeah.
I really respect that.
He's a small guy, and for him
little.
to go like
he's taller, but
he's relatively tall, but he's not. I mean, I see him next to Mason Fowler, and I think everybody looks small next to him, but. Who is he under?
His promotion to black belt is one of the quickest recorded in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu
history. Really?
That's what it says. Instructor lineage. Hasten, great. Carlos Hasten. Then some dude, Paulo Stroke.
Yeah. Paulo Mauricio Stroke. I don't know.
I don't know either. He's good.
Stroud, that sounds very German. That sounds like a German in Brazil.
He's good.
Yeah, and that kind of made me think of the other thing we wanted to talk about. Remember the which method of learning is
that's right,
is the best, because that's a big thing right now
with like the
as of the day of recording of this video, because if you watch this like 10 years from now, that might not even be a conversation. Who knows? But right now, the biggest conversation is in Jiu-Jitsu is ecological versus traditional, and it's like as if there's two ways to teach. But anyway,
I think it's just the ecological, the standard Jiu-Jitsu Well, that's the name of the school, Standard
Yeah,
Jiu-Jitsu.
yeah.
It's so drastically different. Like what we were
The
talking
way
about
they
the other
do
day.
it.
We do situational stuff
Yes.
and even kind of stuff that's even a little bit more isolated, but that's all that they do.
Yeah.
And-
So let's first talk about how a traditional class is run. Traditional class consists of a little bit of warm-ups, and some schools do a lot of warm-ups, which I personally disagree with. If you ask me about
Eating up
one
time.
thing, if you ask me about one thing,
Time's eating it, getting
it's eating up time. That's all it is. If you ask me about that's something I would like to eliminate. I have no quarrel with somebody saying it's better not to have that. But anyway, I say come in 10 minutes before class and warm up on your own, and let's not, But I've heard people that like warm-ups, whatever. So, by the way, I think for kids' classes, warm-ups are good because
for sure.
because kids need to get in tune with one another and with the instructor, because their attention span is way
that
out
activity
there.
kind of helps focus.
So that activity helps focus, and the other thing is because those bodies are growing, and they need to do that physical work. I mean, dude, I've seen kids doing like one or two classes, one after the other, and then they start bouncing off the walls after that. It's like they got energy. It's not
Right.
like they don't.
Right.
Those additional push-ups and shrimps are not going to hurt them.
Right.
They're going to benefit them. For me and you, bro, at that age, I only got so many
Right. What's my man that does a Friday class?
Marciano.
Marciano.
Oh, he does those long warm-ups, bro. Oh, we got to invite Marciano, dude.
I would love to have Marciano here.
Shit.
Shout out to Marciano. He's
Yeah,
great.
we're gonna get Marciano here.
But his
we gotta talk to him. Can't believe I did. His warm-ups, man. He does
warm-ups
cartwheels
are
and stuff.
something else, dude. Handstands.
Oh, yeah.
The warm-up is like 10 minutes.
The warm-up is like 10 minutes, but it's also like gymnastics, bro. I'm like, I told him, Marciano, I can't do cartwheels, and he's like, really? I said, yeah, really.
See, I can't do the
I said,
handstands. I got shoulders
oh, I can't do
weird.
handstands either. I'm like, how about I do like forward rolls, short rolls. He's like, just run and do a forward. I'm like, no, I'll do shoulder rolls. Right, and what am I, like a 20-year-old wrestler just doing like, forget about it. Anyway, so warm-ups I can eliminate completely, and I have from my classes eliminated those completely. We do the first 5 minutes, everybody warms up on their own. But that's it. From there on, we run instructions. So a traditional class, not my class, but a traditional class runs instruction after the warm-ups. And it's usually, it could be one series of moves or a series of moves which are related to one another. I'll give an example. You start in close guard, inside someone's close guard. You stand up, you open it, you pass the guard, you get to the mount, and you finish with whatever you finish, right? Maybe armbar, let's say, right? So this is a sequential move, okay? And this is taught usually for about half an hour. So you're looking at about 40 minutes, 45 minutes gone, and then you roll for about 15 minutes, and some places roll longer after the hour, like a few more minutes after that, a couple more rounds. But a lot of places don't. You roll about 15 minutes, like 3 rounds maybe, and that's it. And the rounds are usually 5 minutes free roll round. So this is kind of very traditional, right? The other way of very traditional is exactly the same, but you don't teach a sequential move. You teach a few different things. Maybe one takedown, maybe how to finish an Americana, and maybe how to get out of close guard, or get up and pass the close guard. They're not related to one another. So
that seems a little bit.
I can see it either way because, and I'll tell you in my opinion what the merits are of this and the first. Let me get there because I think that I can defend each of those. I have a case for each of them.
I don't think it's garbage. Obviously,
no, not garbage. Like, I know you don't think so,
you're
but
throwing like 8 things at somebody.
Right. So
I say 8. You're throwing 3 things.
Right.
Each move has a bunch of stuff that you need to.
Sure, but let's examine the next thing, or let's first go with those two. So in the first case, you teach a sequential move, okay? That takes longer to teach than 3 separate moves, because if you don't get the first part, or if it takes you longer to get the first part, then you are definitely going to struggle with the second part and the
Right.
third part.
Right.
Now, usually classes are mixed, and I'm not talking about competition classes. I'm not talking about competitors classes. Those should be run differently. But I'm talking about like hobbyists, you know, like normal where you have white belts and you have also purple, brown belts, blue belts, obviously, maybe a couple of black belts, who knows. So there's different levels. I think that students should help one another, and I'm not talking about white belt helping another white belt. I'm talking about maybe purple belt get in with someone who is a very much beginner. You know, maybe first week or something like this, white belt, and then put you know, white belts with blue belts, etc. You know, whatever. You know, they know each other for the most part, so they know how to train with each other.
That's how it's mostly been in my time.
That's how it is. Yeah. So I usually teach sequential, but what I do is, because it's a mixed level class, not everyone learns at the same pace, because not everyone has the same kind of level of comprehension at the stage they're in their jiu-jitsu journey. So it might be easier for you to learn the first part than it is for someone who started 6 months ago.
Right.
Now, with that being said, the first part is only the first part of the move. I usually spend least amount of time on the first part.
Or first part of the sequence.
First part of the sequence, I mean. And then I go on to the second part, and I tell everybody, don't worry if you're not getting the first part completely, you know. If you can't complete the sweep right now, don't worry about it, because this same sweep we're going to practice in the second part of the move.
Okay.
So you are going to stack it onto the second part, and you're still going to practice it. You're still going to get your reps. Don't worry about it. And then in the second part, it'll clip.
Right.
Click, because you're gonna do the sweep, and then you're gonna end up on top, and maybe get to the mount.
Second part will help inform the first one a little bit.
Correct. We'll complement the first.
Sure.
And then the third part is the cherry on the cake, right? Where you actually do everything and finish with the submission. Now, here is where it's interesting. A lot of people struggle in the third part, because the submission is like, let's say a mounted armbar requires a little bit of shifting, a little bit of movement.
But that's a whole technique.
It's a whole technique on its own. However, is it really the most important part of the technique? I mean, yes, if you're looking for a submission, but it's not the only submission you can get from the mount. So if you got to the mount with the sweep first,
I see what you're saying.
Now you learn essentially a whole sequence that can get you into any kind of submission, maybe even take the back. You know?
I never thought about it.
So I usually teach a sequence like that. It kind of helps.
I find it does too sometimes.
Yeah, it does. Yeah. So I find it useful like that. Then what I do is, I don't do 5-minute rounds only. I do positional rounds where if we started from position with the sweep, I will work from that position for 2 minutes. One person starting, and then we'll reset. You know that we reset. If I sweep you, we reset. If you pass my guard, we still reset with the same person on the bottom for the first 2 minutes, and then we switch roles. So anyway, after that, at the end, we do like 3 rounds. Like,
which I think I like that positional, because a lot of times, and I've dealt with this, I'll do a class, I'll learn a move that I don't do a lot, or I'm not familiar with at all. And then, okay, we learned that part, now it's time to live roll. Me, and I think most people are apt to go right back to what they're familiar with.
And it usually happens, yes.
I just learned this, I'm not familiar with it, but when the point of the roll is we're starting in what we just learned, what I try to do to myself is, I'm like, okay, even if he knows I'm going to try this move, still try to do it. You know, still try to add it in. And I try not to grade myself on how well or not I do it. I'm like, dude, try to do it. Even if I get smashed, it's okay.
Yeah, if you get smashed, you get past, you reset. That's the beauty of it.
Right.
You're not going to suffer or try to escape for the next 2, 3, 4 minutes.
Right.
You know, if it's someone bigger or something like that. In fact, you are going to get more reps in a live situation.
The worse you do, you're going to get more reps, and you can ideally
it might click.
Right.
And it might become something you do after all, right? Now, I'll give you an example. When we did the half guard instructional,
that's available on Patreon.
It's available on Patreon, and I also have it for sale as a full course, which you can own forever. So I'm gonna put links in the description down below.
We're gonna put it under the table.
Anyway, so but I remember what I said to the camera in that instructional once. I think was, we play half guard, bottom half, and there is so many attacks and all that, so many sweeps, leg attacks, everything. You know, you can attack literally everything from bottom half. The thing is, if they stand up in your half guard,
Right.
you can't really do any of those because there's no more half guard.
Right.
So now you're going to have to play open guard, maybe De La Riva, maybe you're going to get to whatever, reverse De La Riva. It doesn't matter what it is. You're going to be playing a different type of guard. You're going to play an open guard. Maybe you're going to wrestle up. Who knows? Whatever, right? But it's not going to be half guard anymore.
Right.
So if I'm teaching something for half guard specific, and let's say John Wayne sweep, just to give you an example, and I tell everybody starting half guard, but the person on top
can't stand up.
Do not get up.
Right.
That's the only condition I'm
put
asking.
a restriction on it.
That's the only restriction I put from half guard, for example, because then you're not really doing yourself a favor, because you're not gonna. Yes, you are gonna maybe pass the guard, but then so what? You're gonna stand up every time.
Right.
You're gonna pass the guard, and then you're gonna get up against someone better who's gonna sweep you right as soon as you stand up or leg lock you. Or something.
And we'll go over that in another technique. But for this technique.
But right now we're not working on that shit. So don't get up. Try to stay down. I know it's not your game. Try to stay down, and then it's gonna pay back when it's your turn on the bottom. But anyway, so that's the way usually I structure it. Now you say, what about if it's three separate techniques unrelated to one another? And you said that it's very discombobulated. Sounds like, but it actually you answered it yourself.
I just haven't had in the way that I think about it, it's like that, and I haven't done a bunch of instruction like that to where I can think back to, oh yeah, I remember that it was like this, because it just seems.
Yeah, no, I hear you. So let me give you an example. I'm gonna give you one takedown, which we're gonna practice for about 5 minutes. I'm gonna give you let's say 5 minute instruction, 5 minutes practice. Then I'm going to give you a 5 minute instruction on a guard pass and 5 minute practice. And then I'm going to give you a submission, 5 minute instruction and 5 minute, whatever the submission is, right? Whatever, Americano. Now.
Do people even do Americanos anymore?
Yeah, people do. Yeah, for sure. If you know who got submitted with Americana? Big Dan. Big Dan got tapped with Americana in.
ADCC?
No, in Who's Number One. He got tapped with Americana. He got tired. I can't remember who it is.
I only remember him losing to Nick Rodriguez, and then Andrew Taggart choked him.
Yeah, no.
Actually, both those guys choked him.
I was shocked because he's such a big guy. He got tapped with Americana by I can't remember who, and it was from Mount.
From Mount on his big body.
Yeah, bro. He got tapped because he was
tired. Well, it's that thing that happened to Andrew Taggart.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So, but the point of teaching separate unrelated techniques, 3 unrelated techniques, you could also teach 5 if you want, but I think it's more about time management. Like I said first, there's let's say there's 15, 20 people class. There's a bunch of them are very much beginners, and then there's advanced people, then there's intermediate, and this way you give something for everybody, right?
Okay.
Now, not only that, but probably everybody's going to be able to hit the submission in practice without any context, let's say Americana or whatever, Everybody's going to be able to hit it in practice in drilling, because it's easy to understand, unless it's something more complicated.
Right.
Maybe not everybody is going to be able to get the guard pass, but it's okay for those who need good guard pass in practice, which is probably like 75% of the class. And then the takedown, for example, is not. I might show a takedown that's not everybody's thing, Let's say you're in.
So you give them a bit of a variety.
You give them a little variety.
That matches their level.
Hopefully matches everybody's interest, And if you're not interested in that particular takedown, think about how it might chain with a takedown that you like.
Right.
I was just talking this morning to Marcos about he likes a lateral drop from over under.
I saw him do it the other day.
Yeah, so he's like, I do it, but I get sometimes they won't let me, and I'm like, well, maybe think about how to chain it with something. I don't do that takedown, but I understand how it works, and I told him maybe think about how you can chain it with something else. Try and do go for an uchimata, because he likes to do it from an overhook, right?
Okay.
Because he does the lateral drop from the overhook, and he helps himself with the underhook. I tell him, get yourself, give him the underhook or whatever. Go for the uchimata with the whizzer, and then as they bring the foot in front,
To
then you
defend.
go, then you just step in front of them, and then you just do the lat drop.
Yeah.
It kind of, think about it. You don't have to love the uchimata or something like this, but hey, how can this complement what I do?
Right.
I
actually, when I first started jiu-jitsu, one of the things that I remember is I was learning something. Shout out to Lynx Academy.
Is that in
Virginia Beach?
Virginia Beach.
And it was, obviously it was above, I didn't understand it. And I was talking to somebody, and the advice that they gave me, they were like, okay, you're not going to understand a bunch of stuff. That's okay. Pay attention as best you can, because what's going to happen is some information you're going to retain, even if you don't know it. But how jiu-jitsu goes is in 6 months from now, when your classes cycle through and you're learning that same move again, more will go in there and ad infinitum until you get it, or not. And I saw that happen. I remember the day that the guy told me that we were learning a move. This is a gi. It was an arm bar from there, where you trap the dude's arm, and then you go around, you smush him, and you go around his body. I remember that day, and I was just like, but I got like the initial part. I was like, okay, I kind of understand when I'm like kind of north-south of the guy to kind of lock it. I got that. A year and a half later, a good amount of time later, I got that move on somebody. And I remember I was like, it was like an epiphany.
And you never done it in between?
No. But what the dude said is like, my jiu-jitsu had matured to the point where I understood. It just came to me. And I was like, oh, and it happened again too with a straight ankle lock. Mm-hmm. I remember being taught that probably 6 times in different classes. I remember the last time being taught it, I was just like, oh, I got this now. It was like, I can just tell when it's right in my, it's in my arm. I can feel it. And it just came from each time learning it and paying attention and being like, okay, and then trying it live and not getting it, and to the point now.
I remember with straight ankle locks. Funny you should say. Gustavo was teaching straight ankle lock. I was a white belt.
He won the worlds with that.
I know he did. Yeah, he broke the ankle. I think.
Did he?
Yeah.
I just remember the
guy's ankle. Yeah, he wouldn't.
Well, the
tap,
dude defended for a while.
He defended for a while. He wouldn't tap. I think, and he broke. I think. I don't remember. I haven't seen the fight, but I spoke to him not too long ago. But quite a while back.
I think he
broke his ankle.
I don't know if it's still on YouTube anymore.
Maybe not. He told me that he took some of his matches off YouTube. Yeah. But anyway, the straight ankle lock, when he was teaching it, I'm like, fuck, it's just not working, man. And it's like, and it didn't work for me. It's like, I figured out how to do heel hooks before I could figure out how to do a straight ankle lock.
Is that right?
Yeah. And I'm like, man, this shit is just not working for me. And then something clicked. I started like getting it better. I wasn't, and I'll tell you exactly what I think, and I know you do it the same way, but I started doing, I was like, all right, I gotta fall, low so I can put all my body weight on that ankle, and then it doesn't take a big movement. It doesn't take a rip. It doesn't take a rip. It takes like, kind of like when you finish a guillotine. You don't rip that shit,
right? Right.
You could,
it's just
but the chances when you rip it, the chances are it's gonna slip out.
Right.
It's the same thing with the ankle lock. It might slip out, or you might just break the guy's leg.
Right.
But when you got the guillotine and you have it right, you're going for it, and then you're doing it. You're doing okay. It's got to be done correctly. I have to stop him from getting over my body, from rolling out. That it's kind of the same thing with the ankle lock, and it's interestingly enough, it's the same grip.
It's very and you're doing like that side.
And you're doing the same thing, doing that side crunch, and then extending a little bit and all that stuff. And there's different ways to finish it, obviously, and the legs configuration could be different. But I noticed that the less effort I put into finishing it, the better it became, because my control just became better.
Right.
And if you notice people that jump on the leg and try to rip it, they usually lose it on better guys.
Right.
They usually lose it. And it's because when you do it, you actually just give up space.
Right.
And opportunity
like
for defense.
You're offering him momentum.
Yeah. You give him opportunity to defend.
Right.
You get it nice and tight. You get it there. You put your body weight on it. You tuck your elbow in, just like with a guillotine. And next thing is like it gets tight, and the guy can't really move, and you can adjust your legs, in position. So it's funny you should say about the ankle lock, because I had like so much trouble finishing ankle locks. Now I don't really do them that much now. But whenever I do, I know that I either have it or I don't have it. I know it from the very beginning.
Right.
As soon as I grab the ankle, I know that I'll be able to finish or not.
100%.
It's kind of like with the guillotine, the same fucking thing. Like you grab the guillotine and you're going to, it's like, you just know it's there. It's the...
See, like when we rolled on Monday.
Yeah.
I had like a front headlock on you.
You tried the Peruvian on me.
I tried the Peruvian.
I was like, no fucking way, I'm getting finished with Peruvian twice this month.
I was going to try that, because I tried the guillotine on the guy before you, and I was like, it felt good. So I got that. I was like, I'm going to try to guillotine this fool. And I just didn't. Look,
I rolled out of it. I
didn't feel it. I was like, dude, if I try to do a guillotine here, I'm going to be forcing it.
Yeah.
I just felt like I'd be trying to throw it, and I didn't feel comfortable. And even though it was unsuccessful, obviously, I just felt like it was more secure to go for that Peruvian.
Yeah,
and I kind of held you in it, and we rolled, and I was like, and I was kind of proud of myself, because I remember the time when I
got to the position.
I gave it up. Once I kind of was like, okay, he knows what's going on, obviously. I could either try to force it, but I think that's going to be offering him something, and I don't want to end up with him.
You would have ended up on the bottom. You let it go in time, because you kind of stayed in front headlock, I think, after that. But because what I did was, to defend it, I pushed your leg off.
Right.
So I could have space, so you don't.
Yep.
And that's when, right as I was pushing it off, you actually gave it up and you went to something else, which was
Pete did that
probably
to
the
me
right
one
thing.
time, dude, and I was
The
like,
Peruvian?
No. He defended it that,
it.
and I was so amazed, because I was like, I don't know. I've never been in a role where someone has tried to do that choke to me.
Yeah.
Okay. So I don't know. I can't picture in my head if someone's trying to do it. Oh, I'm going to grab this leg and then extend it. Because when I did it to Pete, the one I tried on Pete was way deeper than what it was on you.
Yeah.
Like if he didn't do what he did, I definitely would have got him. Mm-hmm. But it just impressed me so much that I was like, okay. Threw the leg over and went back. He was like, nah, no, don't even.
Yeah.
Like, you get that shit out of here.
Yeah.
And I was just like, damn, like how did he know that? Like
when you get the front head and then
it's just not a famous
you
move.
can kind of tell what people are trying to do.
Yeah.
When I got caught in it, like,
because I gotta get my head. I gotta get my head.
Yeah.
When
I got caught in it, it was.
Oh, she told me someone got you in a Peruvian.
Yeah. So when that happened, that was actually very good chain of submissions. It started with a guillotine. It transitioned to a darce. And when I started defending the darce, he let go of the darce and he went for the... you tried to get me in the darce. So you transitioned from the darce to it, actually. You didn't transition from the guillotine.
I didn't feel good with that. I was either going to try to do the Dustin...
The darce I was going to scare. I was going to try to do the Islam. I was out of the darce, yeah.
Darce, kind of Japanese necktie.
Yeah, no, you did right, because you let go of them on time every time, because I was out of there.
I just felt as though you were going to do something stupid or something and make me feel stupid. Yeah. And I was like, nah, dude.
But
this dude is like...
Ernesto got me in that. Ernesto got me in that fucking Peruvian, and he got me with a submission chain. And on the last one, he was very tight already, and I saw it coming, like, but he really jumped on, like, he didn't squat first, and then he really did it, like, very. And I'm like, shit. I just didn't have time to react. And
he's deceptive. He's not strong, but he's He's like
mobile. He's mobile and
dude. He's
and
dynamic.
flexible.
Like his whole. He's
Flexible,
like we need
yeah.
to get him on here because I want to add a bunch of questions about his dancing. His dancing is crazy.
No, he is. Yeah, he's a dancer.
Like I'm like, are you professional? Once I saw him, I was like, dude, are you a professional dancer or something? I saw this on Instagram. He's like, no, I just like to do it. It's amazing. But when I've rolled with him, I'm just like,
He puts the phone in the street and he starts dancing at late at night, and people start walking in front of the phone. It's like, what the fuck, man?
His stuff is dynamic, though.
I'm like, imagine people start walking. It's like, imagine it happens every time. What do you mean, imagine?
Yeah, we gotta get him in here.
I know.
Damn,
yeah,
he does Peruvians. That's cool.
Oh, he likes. I can't remember. He's tried guillotines and stuff, but that Peruvian worked.
He tried a Sao Paulo pass one time, and I'm like, no one does that.
The Sao Paulo, yeah. You gotta be. The Sao Paulo, you have to be. I think you have to be really the same size as the other person. If I try to do it on someone bigger or someone with stronger legs,
awkward,
they're just gonna spring me back in close guard. It might even submit me because you have to extend yourself. Because what happens is if they're taller than you, they have more leverage. Obviously, you have to reach farther for the head and all that stuff, or the underhook, depending on the type of Sao Paulo pass you do. And when you reach, you're actually reaching, right? You're giving them either the overhook,
right,
or you give them the shoulder crunch opportunity.
Right.
All they have to do is extend their legs and you're fucked, right? So it's got to be done on someone like Hodger Gracie used to do, but he was either taller than the other person or the same size at the very least.
Right. And most people, just like we were talking about,
and it's Hodger Gracie. I mean, most
people don't play close guard.
Yeah.
You hardly ever see that anymore. The only reason why he tried to do it to me is because I do close guard still. If I can get you in close guard, I'm gonna try to get you in close guard.
Yeah.
But you just don't see that often.
I play close guard. Actually, now that we're talking about close guard, I think that I'm going to go out on a limb and say that close guard needs to come back because everybody is doing a series of things that are they're great. No, I have no problem with any of the so-called new stuff. It develops, it evolves, and all that stuff. The thing about the close guard is it got forgotten, and close guard is like staple. If you watch MMA, close guard is there.
I think close guard got forgotten because of the
fact that open guard is so much more dynamic and people play open guard.
Well, because of the whole sport, the proliferation of sport in jiu-jitsu.
But Ian, when I tell you close guard, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Right. When I tell you open guard, you don't know if I'm talking about the
open guard is like 8 different things. It's like 25, like right? There's a million different things.
So it's like that's my point. So you can very much summarize things into close guard, half guard, and open guard. But open guard is like a whole new family of things, and they're even different families because it could be legs inside, legs outside, like not both legs outside, but like the Hiva is with the one leg out, one in. Then it could be like both legs in, like a butterfly or shin to shin. So these are all open guards. It could be seated, it could be supine, it could be fucking whatever, But close guard, there's one close guard and one donkey guard, which is, I don't know about that, right? So it's still closed, right? So if I tell you close guard, you know exactly what I'm talking about. The good thing about close guard is that it's going to neutralize a lot of offense on part of your opponent.
That's what the point of jiu-jitsu
because think about this.
From Alio.
Think about this. For an opponent to attack you, assuming there is no strikes, right? For an opponent to attack you, they need to get out of that close guard first. They need to get out of the close guard. They need to open it first. Then they need to pass your close guard, which by now has become some sort of open guard.
Right.
So you also have the opportunity to play open guard after that.
Right.
And if you're smart and you're willing to do it, of course, I'm not just saying that whoever doesn't do it is not smart. But if you're willing to do it, you can make people go from your close guard into whatever you want them to go to. You can give them something where they're going to. If I give you,
I see what you're saying.
Where you're gonna know exactly how they're gonna open your guard, and then you can attack them based
on
you
that.
can literally control the future, or whatever. Let's say you like to play K guard. Most people in nogi are going to stand up nowadays for opening the close guard, and when they stand up, I mean, you really have the opportunities there for your K guards. You can go with a shallow K guard. You can do all kind of stuff. You can play De La Hiva if that's your game. You can and your chains and all that stuff. You can play a whole bunch of stuff that you like to play if you close your guard and let them and see what happens.
Right.
Not to speak that you can be very dangerous from close guard. Good luck getting Gustavo's close guard, man. Fucking thing is like,
Dude.
you know, I if you try to open his guard, you're I mean, if you're someone his size, of course, you're in trouble if you're just trying to get up and open his guard. I find that for me to get out of his close guard and, like safely, I have to literally like start giving him something like an arm or something, just so he can go for something that I can be a little bit like, but that's a big risk you're taking.
That's a huge risk.
It is,
especially against
but I know that
good.
the longer I stay there, the higher the chance of me getting tapped or swept, most likely swept in this case right now. But I'm saying I really have to go for something, or I have to give him something to go for something so I can, get out of there. Take a huge risk.
Let me ask you this, because I think that's a great point, and this just came to my mind. Think about that CJI final with Levi Jones-Leary versus Ruotolo.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And how everyone, I saw the match. I get what everyone's saying about, it was so boring. I couldn't. Gustavo was like, it was hard to watch.
Yeah.
I get what they're saying, but it wasn't that bad for me. But what I'm trying to say is do you think if Levi Jones-Leary used close guard, if he used his open guard just to complement his close guard, would it be more legitimate?
I think that he has he has an amazing open guard. I think that if he plays close guard, and I don't know that he does, I have no idea because I've seen some of his matches, but I haven't seen all of them, obviously.
It's just
I think that he has he's going to have more opportunities to play what he wants because he wants that person close to him. The question here is, how are you going to put Kate Ruotolo in your close guard? You can't even get him into your open guard to attack him. Imagine putting him in a close guard. You're not going to put that guy in a close guard.
I don't really like the whole strategy of pulling guard. Well, okay,
right.
Pulling open guard.
Yeah.
The thing about pulling close guard, even though I don't do it.
Like jumping guard, that's kind of dangerous.
It's dangerous, yeah. But I think it's more legitimate than pulling close guard because when you're pulling, or it's more legitimate than pulling open guard, because when you're pulling close guard, it's almost like an attack.
It's an attack because you're
as opposed to
you're getting
just
attached.
Come here, come here.
Yes, you if you pull open guard somehow, let's say you
pulling open guard
down
is
to guard,
right.
Yeah.
That's calling it. That's saying better than what it is. You're sitting down.
Yeah,
it's like you're just sitting guard and
right.
That's,
so
that
when you do that, you are relying on the person
to come
to you.
Sure.
If I start walking back, you're gonna have to scoot forward and look for me, and the ref is gonna get involved in it.
That's weird.
But the fact that the ref has to get involved for action to happen,
it sucks.
It sucks. In wrestling, you're not gonna see one person going forward and the other one not accepting the contact. There has to be contact, okay? Otherwise, you're gonna get penalized. And the same thing happens in Jiu-Jitsu. The thing is that it's not a 50-50 position. In wrestling, you start standing,
right.
Both of us are on feet, and it's a 50-50 position.
Right.
And in submission grappling, in Jiu-Jitsu, and submission grappling specifically, because in gi Jiu-Jitsu, there's a lot more contact because of the grips. You pull guard with grips usually, right? So, but in no-gi, you are less attached. And the fact that the ref has to be, and it's not a 50-50 position. You're sitting and I'm standing. You have your attacks, I have my guard passes. The thing is that I think you have a lot more attacking opportunities from the bottom than I have from standing. And because you can do a bunch of other stuff, so it's
because
not...
he placed me in a guard, even though it's weird. For if I'm going against somebody and they sit on their butt, if they're like a Levi Jones, he knows what he's doing. And it's like he's inviting me to step into a hole.
Pretty much, it's like,
and I'm like, no, dude, you
right,
come here.
Right. So now it becomes like, oh well, he's avoiding the guard. Well, think of it this way: if I were to, if we start the match with you in my close guard, would that be fair?
Right.
Exactly.
That's
right.
a great point.
Right. I mean,
Great point.
close guard gives you the maximum possible contact, where I play guard and you are not.
That's why I don't have a problem with
you're not playing.
pulling closed guard.
Yeah.
Even though no one really does it anymore, it's dangerous.
But
all
it's
that.
still very unfair if they start the fight from close guard. You know, they flip a coin and they say, "You're gonna be down. Put your close your guard."
That would be
around this
super
guy."
unfair.
Yeah, to the guy that's in my close guard, it's gonna be
Right.
super unfair. Now, if it's
No
MMA,
one would agree with
it's a
that.
different story. But no one would agree to that. Then why would you agree to a situation like? That's why I said, and I keep maintaining this, that the rule should be. I think AIGA, whatever that term.
AIGA.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think they have a rule where for the first half of the the round, because they have three round fights.
Can't sit.
You can't pull guard, and there is no points for the first half. But there are points actually, but only if you take somebody down. You cannot sit to guard for the first half of the match, and the only points awarded are for a takedown. So it really, really incentivizes takedowns.
Right.
And here's the thing. If you can say, well, yeah, but what if you get up against some good wrestler? Well, if you survive the first half, and think about it this way, if you're a jiu-jitsu guy, you want that fight to go to the ground anyway.
Right.
You're going to give up a point or 2 points, whatever they score
That's
for
what
the
Mikey
takedown.
Musumeci always
But
talks
for
about.
the second half of the round, you should be okay because you're the jiu-jitsu guy. You should be good there. You know,
Right.
you can recover your guard. Now you have him in your guard, but you gave the guy a chance
Right.
to fight to his strength.
Right.
How much more interesting is this than me sitting down from the first?
Right.
You know, because pulling guard in the first half of the match is allowed. What the fuck is this?
Right.
Why would it be allowed in the first half of the match and not in the second?
Right.
It makes zero sense to me.
Right.
Because when you sit down in guard the first half of the match, because you're like ADCC rules, for example, you're allowed to sit down. If you don't get your guard passed, you can stay down for 20 minutes. You're not going to get up, and it's
Yeah.
up to the other person to engage. I find that unfair. I find that stupid and boring to
Yeah.
watch.
Yep.
That's my opinion. I know it's your opinion too, but I know people have different opinions on that, and that's okay.
It's like a hacked system. The guard was invented for a specific thing. That dude is attacking me. He's bigger than me, or he has more force, or whatever. And
Correct.
He has me like on my back feet. It gives me confidence. So when a force is coming toward me that I can't handle standing up, I
Right.
put him in my guard, and that evens it enough for me to have a chance. That's the point of Helio Gracie's jiu-jitsu.
Right.
Now,
I think
it's been, I don't want to say bastardized, but it's been gamed because of the sports aspect, which is fine. But I think it's important to remember where these things come from.
in terms of rules.
Yeah.
Because here's the thing. It's a sport. And sports are governed
There's a
by
sport
rules.
right, there's a sport aspect, sure.
And because you can say, well, you're not gonna sit to guard in the streets. Well, I'm not gonna jump in close guard in the street either. I'm not gonna do that. Even though I'll play close guard if I have to.
Okay.
But I'm not gonna fucking play it voluntarily.
I get you, but 100%. But out in the street, when I walk out of here, a dude runs up to me and socks me.
That's what I'm saying, because you have to.
Right.
You have
because
to.
I have to.
But you're not going to pull guard on the guy, right?
No.
Yeah. So that's what I mean. You're not gonna pull guard on the guy whether it's closed or open or half open. Right?
I might even, if depending upon the situation,
I'm not gonna sit down to wrestle up. Put it
No.
this way, because I'm gonna get kicked in the head.
Now, I might, as soon as we start going, I might try to
Maybe.
go into my, I might be thinking I'm going to get to my guard as soon as I can.
Or
But
if
I'm
you
not
try
gonna-
to take him down and you fuck it up, maybe you're gonna get to guard,
Right.
maybe sweep him and all
Right.
that stuff. Who knows? I'm saying guard is just that. It's guard, right? Yes, you can attack from guard. Of course, you can attack from guard.
Right.
That's
Guard
the
is
beauty.
just that.
And that's the beauty of it. But don't make it don't start a fight with a guard. Is my point.
so
I just
weird.
don't see that. You know, like
You shouldn't be able to win by defending the whole time.
that's when you put it this way. There is an argument that I'm not defending. I'm attacking from my guard.
Okay.
So
Let me just give you a little example. There's a match between Rafa Mendez and Rodolfo Vieira that I watched. Rafa Mendes
Was that from ADCC or is it from?
I think it was.
in the gi?
I think it's a. It was an IBJJF.
In the gi?
I think it's in the gi, but I kind of can't remember. The thing that I was focused on though, the whole fight was Rodolfo, who is huge compared to Rafa Mendes. It was amazing watching this monster of a man who's really good go against this smaller dude who's really good. The whole match was Rodolfo trying to get past Rafa's guard, and he could not do it. At the end of the match, Rodolfo wins, and Rafa's kind of like, and I'm like, Rafa did a great job. He also did a great job marketing Jiu-Jitsu. But with that being said, you shouldn't, and he didn't, you shouldn't win in a sports situation. Now, if it's out in the street and Adolfo Vieira attacks me and he can't get past my guard, and for whatever happens, he's not getting past my guard, then I won. Yeah. Because I didn't get mauled. I didn't get killed.
Morally, you won.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, morally and physically, you won.
You know,
but
they say,
not...
I win. If you can't beat me, then I win. You know, that's like the jiu-jitsu thing, and that's like more the survival thing.
That's a survival thing. The question is, who is in a better position to strike with damage, if there was striking allowed? Who is in a better position to cause damage while striking? Is it the person that's on top or the person that's on bottom? Right.
Obviously.
Right. Now you can say, well, why do you defend the close guard for MMA then? Because you can actually control the strikes to an extent. There, of course.
You can control the strikes. And you can control not being struck if you're doing it right.
Correct. And by the way, I think it was in the Marab versus Sean O'Malley fight. I think Sean cut him from the bottom with an elbow.
Okay.
Was it in that fight?
That happens.
Was it? It was in that fight.
I don't think it was that fight.
Maybe not, but
I know what you're talking about.
He got cut with an elbow like right away. He got into the close guard. He started trying to throw punches.
Because there's a couple of good fights.
The other guy grabbed the head and then let him come up and then just threw an elbow.
Yep.
Cut him right away, and then you could see the blood pouring.
Yep.
And he was like, that's a good damage from the bottom. Now, did he eat a few punches in the process? Hell yeah, he did. But when they got up for the next round, the guy was bleeding, right? So now you're looking at the long-term, what do they call that? Effective striking. Like damaging striking.
You're not putting yourself, you're not going to be in close guard on the bottom thinking I'm going to knock this dude out. That's not even the point of it. You know, that's going to be tough to do. That's a great technique, but you're not thinking about doing that. That's not, you know.
Oh, and then there was in CJI, there was another example of a boring match. What's his name? He went to the final in the upper. He went to the final against
Philippe. Not the dude against
He went against Nicky Rodriguez. Yeah.
Philippe Andrew.
Yeah. He's a gi guy.
He's a gi guy.
He went against that's the worst fucking matchup for him. He went against Pat Downey, against a wrestler in no gi. He put him in a close guard, and all I could hear from wrestlers after that was, "That's bullshit. I'm on top. I'm supposed to win."
No.
Sure, but you have no attacking opportunities from the top.
Right.
Now that can be an argument for someone to argue with us. Well, yeah, but when I'm playing open guard, I have attacking opportunities, and you don't effectively have attacking opportunities, right? So the question is, well, yes, but when I have a close guard, I have contact with you. I'm in the closest possible contact with you,
right?
Aside from you being in the mount on me or taking my back or something, which is pretty much the same thing, right? Except I'm in a relatively good position. And you have nothing going for you. You have to actually open my guard before you even start thinking about passing my guard. Whereas in open guard, you can step back a few steps and then I have to chase you with a butt scoot.
Right, which is dumb.
Right. So that's my point. We saw both of those worlds.
Because in the street, dude, you look a monster.
CJI.
I'm gonna if I got you backing up because you're scared of my open guard, I'm running away to safety.
Yeah.
I always try to think of it.
If I see somebody sitting in the street on me, like we get to, and the guy just sits and pulls the guard, I'm gonna be questioning. I'm gonna be thinking. I'm gonna be like, bro, where do you train? Like, you want to go solve this in an open mat or something, you know?
You want to go to open mat and solve this?
Yeah, like where do you train? What are we doing here in this surface?
Who's your instructor?
How do you like it there? Are the mats clean?
I love that. Look, we need to talk real quick, right? We need to. Can you come to the podcast on Tuesday?
Discuss something first, you know? What is this?
That would be a really funny skit to do.
That's a funny skit.
Guys get into a fight, dude just drops into open guards like it's like.
And you go there and you go like.
Like, what are you doing? Are you really starting?
And then you kick the shit out of him.
Just coming with
stomp him in the face. I was gonna say, by the way, to backtrack to the fucking the teaching thing.
Oh, I'm glad you did that because I was thinking.
Yeah.
You never even explained the whole.
Yes. So, but that's a couple of methods of teaching. But now the ecological method is based on restrictions and very very specific positional restrictions. So, just to give an example, we start from half guard, for example, and all I can do is grab your cross-face arm. If you're on top, all I can do is grab your cross-face arm, and that's all I'm allowed to do. You know, your job is to, pass my guard if you can, but free your arm one way or another, and then we play from there. We reset back to me holding your arm, or it's your turn, whatever however you do it. Another example would be, we start with an arm weave. So half guard, you start with an arm weave, and you play from there. And you're not allowed to pass the guard any other way. And I am allowed to sweep you, but I'm not allowed to, attack kimuras and whatnot. Whatever, I'm not allowed to do anything. Very restrictive way of playing.
And sometimes,
and they call it games, right?
There's a win for either side, and then sometimes it's just a win for one.
Correct.
Sometimes one dude only just do this, just hold on.
Yeah.
There's no win for you. Just hold on.
Well, that's the win. The win is you hold on for as long as you can, right? And
this dude has this dude.
Oh
okay.
yeah, I see what you mean. He has a goal.
He has more of an objective.
He has more of an objective, whereas your objective
you need
is
to stand up
to stall him to that.
Right.
But so they call those games, specific goal-oriented games. Or whatever you want to call it. The thing for me is, and then by the way, the other person's turn, right? So we're doing the same thing. Then it's the other person's turn, and then you move on to the next phase of that. So first I was holding your cross-face arm. Then the next phase is where you arm weave. Let's say now I'm allowed to sweep. Right? I'm not just concentrating on holding your arm. I can sweep, but I can't really go for kimuras from the bottom or whatever other attacks. I can sweep. But let's not forget that if you arm weave, there is only a couple of ways to sweep. So you're very limited in your, Now, what about the guy with the arm weave? All you can do is not take your arm from there, out of there, but pass the guard. That's all you can do, right? So on the next phase of the game would be, okay, you don't have to weave your arm anymore, and you don't have to hold my cross face. Now, obviously, I can't stand up in your half guard, but I got to be able to do it to reverse the guard, like reverse sit or something like this, and then whatever the game is, But it's very restrictive manner of, if you do it the way it's intended to be. And I personally
with no drilling.
With no drilling, so we're not drilling.
Drilling.
This is live situation, by the way. We're talking about live situation,
And these are white belts, blue belts,
white belts,
black
blue belts, black belts.
Everybody.
Everybody's training the same thing, without any instruction, essentially.
So I'm like, what came first, the chicken or the egg? How do you even know what a sweep is? Okay, he can tell you. Okay, a sweep is when this happens.
Yeah.
Okay, so I just don't understand how a white belt or can go into something like that and be like, okay, what?
Yeah.
How do you build off of?
I don't know how, and the thing is that
I need to watch some more videos.
We have to be in that environment to be able to actually critique it, not
sure.
criticize it,
100%.
critique it properly.
100%. It's interesting
I cannot be
to me.
objective. It is. I cannot be objective about it. I can be objective about one thing. When some asshole comes out on TV and says, 10 years from now, you're going to realize that your professor didn't teach you anything correctly.
See, that's
10 years from now, you're going to hate your professors because they've been
Yeah.
teaching you in any other way. Hold on a second, buddy. First of all, every world champion that I know has gone
Right.
through the same system of teaching
since day one
since
of
day
jiu-jitsu.
one. Second of all,
This is brand new.
Second of all, yes, this is brand new. I was going to say, and you have no sample size to prove what you're talking about. But even if you are right, and your system works, and I assume that it works because otherwise you wouldn't be doing it for a long time, right? You wouldn't have been doing
Look,
it.
it's solid. I've heard this dude on a
It's
couple.
solid.
It's
No,
very
no,
solid.
I have no doubt about that.
The only thing that's weird to me is
Am I gonna like this kind of system personally? No, I'll tell you why. Because I'm not gonna be able to go for like 1 hour live non-stop
Right,
and
right.
do that 4 or 5 times a week. I'm not gonna be able to do it.
now. I don't know if they're going live or if they're kind of
No,
going
it is sort of live, but it depends.
You know,
Maybe they command what kind of intensity.
50-50.
But you know how difficult it is with white belts and talk about intensity and go 30%. The fuck is 30%
You're right, and
supposed to mean to someone that just started? They don't know what they're doing.
One of the
You know?
one of the videos I watched, they actually talked about that. He goes into places and like I guess it's like a seminar or whatever, but they talked about that. About he doesn't. What's his 10%? 10% of what?
10%, yes.
Like we don't.
There is no, you don't define 100%.
Right.
You do not define 100%, then 10% should be 10% of 100. But how do you know what the 100% is exactly?
Right.
Because your 100% is very different. At our age, our 100% is very different from 100% of a 20-year-old.
That language isn't really mathematical.
yes.
It's super
So,
general.
very
Like I
general.
can tell you, dude, let's only go 50%, and I know exactly.
But we know each other,
We
and
know each other
I
enough.
know what your 100% is, and I
Right.
know what your 50 is, right?
Right.
And if I tell you, bro, I can't go any more than 20% right now, I'm hurting over here, so
Yeah.
whatever. And kind of and if we start going a little too hard, I'll be like, hey, listen,
Yeah.
it's nothing wrong with that. But because we get carried away too. But to explain that to somebody who's never done it or who's a beginner who is there to compete, and you put all these restrictions, it's maybe a little harder, right? Now, I have no problem with this system of teaching and learning. And I have no problem with any system of teaching or learning because I do believe from some years of experience of teaching and years of experience learning that everybody learns different.
100%.
Everybody learns different. Well, maybe there's 2 people that learn the same way, 3 people that learn the same way, but even their level of comprehension of the same way of learning is different.
Right.
In other words, you and I might be very good at both of us absorbing video material. We're both very good visual learners. We'll see something and we're going to be like, oh, yeah, okay, let's do it. But with that being said, for example, I see something and I understand it, I kind of remember it, and I'm a good visual learner, but I do need to try it out a few times without any resistance. There are other people that I know in the gym who are very good at the same thing, but they can also hit it from the first try. And then there is other people that have no idea what they just saw.
Right.
And they're not
I heard
dumb.
Salo Ribeiro was like that.
They're not
If you
dumb
show
or
him one
anything,
guard
yeah.
pass, he knows 30 guard passes.
Right,
Just because he can see that, and he's like, okay, you're supposed to do this. I'm sorry. Okay.
Yeah.
And then he knows a bunch of different ways to get out.
There are people who do not learn like that. And
in
fact, the majority
I
of people don't learn like that.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with that. That doesn't speak bad about those people. It speaks to the fact that people are different in their learning, ability and level of concentration, level of understanding, comprehension. And so it's very different, right? So to tell me that this is the only way that people are going to be learning in the future, very doubtful, very doubtful.
That's the one thing about the videos that I saw that
That's what I'm saying.
I don't want to say bothered me, but I was just like,
That's one thing that bothers me, you know, aside from the fact that I don't think that I can train.
like drilling is pointless. Drilling is stupid.
Drilling is stupid. Drilling is pointless.
And they're being cool.
I think that,
but it's like you
I
can
think
just
that
tell
this
they're
is-
like, it's kind of like, oh, that's dumb.
That's extremism right there. You know,
I'm
it's
like,
extreme.
how did you get your black belt?
An extreme, yeah, I know. This is an extreme take on something. Just like me saying that his method does not work because it's never been proven to work on a world stage. You know, it's never been proven to work. Actually, I have a more valid point than he has.
Right.
You know, without ever trying his method. I have a more valid point because I have a sample size of thousands of champions in history who have never done that methodology.
I'm excited to see.
And yet, I'm not saying that he's wrong.
Right.
I'm saying that he's wrong to tell me that this is the only method that works.
Right.
Because I don't think that's right. I think that you're building a cult.
It's indefensible unless that's what you're trying to do.
Unless that's what you're trying to do.
And I'm not saying they're like this, but...
No, they're not. I don't think so.
Well, I'm bringing up... Think of 10th Planet. And what I'm comparing 10th Planet to the standard guys, the ecological approach, in that you have traditional jiu-jitsu, and then somebody comes around and is like, I'm going to do something different, even though Eddie Bravo got his black belt from Jean-Jacques. He comes up with different stuff.
And kudos to Jean-Jacques because he always supported Eddie Bravo in all this.
Jean-Jacques was my first favorite jiu-jitsu personality.
This guy is, yes. I mean,
he
this
is so
guy
special to me.
is definitely special. He has a disability. He's the 2 times ADCC first.
Dude,
two times, I think.
the very first ADCC, there's no video of Jean-Jacques' first match because he choked a dude out so fast. And I think he had all submissions.
Are you sure there is no video?
Of his very first match.
UFC Fight Pass. I thought there was
Check,
video.
Go, because I read this somewhere years ago.
I don't know.
There's video of his other matches, but I heard it was his first match.
Oh, okay, I see what you mean. Yeah,
was so quick.
Yeah. Jean-Jacques is a complete legend. His understanding of the sport when he teaches, when he explains techniques, you can see that his understanding is like on a different level. And I think that might have come
from because he had to get so good because of his disability.
Right.
He had to get so specific.
You have to be precise in your shit when you're handicapped.
And to be able to he learned that, and then to be able to give that from that specific instruction.
I think that what happened with Eddie Bravo specifically was he was looking for a way to implement
MMA
jiu-jitsu.
He said in the beginning it was the Brazilians that were killing everybody, and then people caught up, and he was like, he got upset about that. This is one reason why I respect it. 10th Planet Jiu-Jitsu. He wanted to do something for jiu-jitsu, so he was like, look, we're not doing as well as we used to in MMA, so I'm going to come up with MMA jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
And I get it. Now,
does it work?
I'm not going to say it doesn't work.
I've seen it working out.
But if we use the same comparison like we did to the ecological approach, I haven't done the math, but I don't know how many ADCC world champions Eddie Bravo has.
No, he doesn't.
Right.
He doesn't. I don't think he has finalists either.
Now, and that's
I may be mistaken, but I don't think so.
And that's not a slight on 10th Planet because Eddie Bravo was like, I'm making MMA jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
So, and I'm sure 10th Planet Jiu-Jitsu.
It has evolved since then.
It has greatly evolved.
Yeah. It had to
100%.
evolve. It had to evolve because jiu-jitsu evolved. I mean, just the fact that he organized so many events to evolve jiu-jitsu itself. The EBI to begin with. That's where the Danaher Death Squad.
Right. Got their first big stage.
Big stage, yes. They didn't start there, but that was their big stage, and that's where they just obliterated. Most of the other participants were from 10th Planet at the time, and from different gyms of 10th Planet, and they obliterated them. And they were like, we can't be not knowing how to do fucking leg locks, you know. And then they started, and that's why 10th Planet became very good. And even now they're teaching white belts, leg locks, and all that stuff.
Right.
Which is great. I mean, we do it here too. Whatever, you know. We don't emphasize it as a first act first action, but we do teach white belts defense and at least literacy. You know, leg lock literacy.
It's not the main. It's not the big meta like it was.
It's not as it was before. I still
because
think
after
that
a while it starts getting so like mathematical. Where,
yeah.
Okay, I gotta do this, and then the guy's gonna do this, and then I'm gonna do this, and then the guys. It just becomes so nerdy, which is cool if that's what you're into, and that's fine. But I think at a certain point it gets so far away from the spirit. I always go back to what happens outside, and I understand everyone's not like that. A lot of people are just into the game.
Yeah.
But in a world where there's an infinite amount of stuff to learn, I'm gonna filter the stuff that I focus on stuff that the little stuff that I can use outside.
And not only that, it's stuff that your body allows you to use.
Right.
You know, it's like
I'm not trying to do,
look,
barambole, all the twisting.
If you're at an age where you're not flexible, your body just doesn't allow you these things. And I'm not gonna be looking to invert and
right. I'm trying to do jiu-jitsu for like 30
more
years.
You know,
I
mean, Kiss of the Dragon is relatively easy, but something else,
you're gonna
crazy.
Be 48
you know?
tomorrow.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be 49 next month. You know, I'm not trying. I'm trying to go for 20 more years.
Yeah.
God willing, and I just wonder what the difference is between if I go to a 10th planet school. How many of those dudes are 49? And what does their jiu-jitsu look like? I'd be interested to see.
Yeah, that's a valid point. I'm sure there are.
I'm sure there are too.
But their jiu-jitsu certainly doesn't look like something that their 20-year-olds perform. But back to the point of the ecological effect, I think that I can say this. I'm sure it works. I'm sure it works. Does it work for everyone? Maybe not. Just like nothing else works for everyone. I mean, just like everything else doesn't work for everyone, I should say. Is it the best method? Haven't tried it. I'm sure that it's very debatable which method is best. I think that a combination of them is probably the best. And
right.
This is the reason I've been experimenting lately with something. By the way, I did for 2 weeks, which means we did 6 classes in that format. I did everybody partner up with someone that
we didn't do that on Monday. That's
no,
right.
we didn't, because I'm doing now I'm doing a more ecological,
okay,
but without all the restrictions.
Because that was pretty cool. I mean, just explain what you did, because I cut you off.
So what I did was
I enjoyed
the previous 2 weeks. Yes, it's great. I think that everybody got something out of it. What I did the previous 2 weeks is the following. We partner up just like you partner up for drilling and stuff like this. But instead of me explaining technique, I tell the students. So let's say Ian and I partner up, and then there's a bunch of other pairs. The first 5 minutes, Ian can work on something that he wants to work on. Maybe he wants to work on his berimbolo, let's say. So all he's doing is berimbolo, and he can tell me. It doesn't have to be mindless drilling. He can tell me, okay, so can you do me a favor and can you just stop me at this point? Because maybe that's what happens in class all the time when he rolls live. Maybe he gets he can't complete the berimbolo because he always gets stopped at certain stage of the berimbolo, for example, right? So that's going to benefit him, because now it's a control environment where he can actually drill it a little bit and see what he can do in this situation.
And I'm asking also whoever's running the class.
Yeah, and then I am, in the meantime, I'm there and I can see.
So
and
if it's
I'm
me and
answering
another
questions.
partner, we're doing it. I can be like, "Hey, Lubo, he's running the class." I
Yes,
always get stuck
so
here.
that's the whole idea, right? So it's not just figure it out on your own.
Right.
I am there.
Right.
I'm there, but I'm not telling you what to learn. I am there to help you out with what you want to learn.
Right.
And then for the next 5 minutes, it's your partner's turn. Now, is he doing berimbolo too? No, he doesn't have to. He could if he wanted to. If he thinks it's cool and he wants to learn it, by all means. But he might be working on his darcis, let's say. So you better stretch your neck, right?
Something
so
totally
he's
different.
doing. He's working on his darcis, and he's like, hey, can you tell me why is this not working here? You know, like, Ian, what do you feel? Oh, well, I'm feeling a little pain here, but I'm not gonna pass out from that. Okay, then why is it not working? And I'm there and I'm looking at it and I'm gonna say, well, maybe it's your angle. Try getting a little bit more perpendicular. Try stepping a little bit closer now to the legs. Try stepping over. try bringing your arm closer to the, like instead of going so deep, try to bring it a little bit closer to the carotid artery. All these little things will help you with your DARS. And by the end of today, this guy is going to know how to do DARS. And he can tell Ian, can you defend it a little bit as he progresses in his skill level? Can you defend it a little bit? What would you do here? You know, that kind of stuff, right? So you can spend the whole
It's almost
whole
kind
day.
of like a private. Not really, but kind of.
Pretty much,
I learn
because-
what I want,
yeah.
and then I have somebody directly telling me I've got a body,
You have a partner to drill with.
like a body.
Stuff that you want to do. I've done that since I was a white belt with a friend of mine who was purple belt at the time. He's black belt now. And we used to do that, and we've been doing it with him ever since. We would get together for like an hour, and we would work 5 minutes him, 5 minutes me. Sometimes we would work on the same thing. Sometimes we would exchange ideas. Like he's like, "Let me show you what we got in class, you know, the other day." And I'm like, "Oh yeah, I've seen that too, you know." And then this and that, you know. So I've been doing that since I was a white belt, and then more regularly or less regularly depending on circumstances, you know. During COVID, it was a little harder to do, but I was still doing it. Even now, to this day, we do it with Axel sometimes. I try to do it with whoever I can arrange an appointment. But the beauty of it is that actually I have to call you and say, Ian, are you free tomorrow between this and this time? You're like, no, I'm working. Oh shit! What about the day after? I'm still working. And he tells me, how are you on Friday? I'm like, well, Friday I'm working, and then we can't make it.
Right.
Now I'm giving the students the opportunity to do that thing
I see
3
what you're
times a
saying.
week without having to set up an appointment with one another, you know, without having to look for a partner, a drilling
idea.
partner.
Great
you know?
idea.
So I tried this for 2 weeks, and I think that a few people, just like with everything else, you have to have consistency, obviously. But a few people, especially those who came regularly, got something out of it that helped them. I think that
Everyone I talked to that day was stoked.
You were there on the first day.
Marcos?
Yes, he worked on something specific. Marcos, I remember he worked on his
I can't remember who I was
shin
with,
to
but
shin, on leg locks.
we both liked it.
You were working with somebody, and you were working on the half guard, getting up in half guard, and I immediately told you what you were doing wrong there, why it wasn't working for you, because you told me, you showed me that before, but it's still not working, and I told you what it is, and
the thing that I'm just thinking about this right now, the thing that I like about it most, my problem is, like one of the problems I have with jiu-jitsu is like, I'll take a class, learn a technique, cool, and I'll figure it out. I've been doing jiu-jitsu long enough. You give me a new technique, okay? I'm going to drill it. I've got it. This is on Monday. By Friday, if you ask me what you learned on Monday, I'm like, oh shit. Especially if I'm going to class, like if I went to class 4 times, I'm like, oh shit. Okay, I know it was half guard. It was a half guard escape. And at that point,
that's all you remember,
right?
Well,
but with that,
the beauty of that is that not only that, but then you know, you do that for half an hour, you know, you alternate with your partner, and then I tell you, okay, guys, we got 3-minute rounds. Start any position you want.
Oh yeah.
And talk to your partner if you want to reset, and then maybe let him work or something like this. By all means, do it. You know, so this way, if you were working on guard passing, you know, you can tell your partner, you can keep doing the same thing you were doing.
That's what I did.
With a little more intensity.
Right.
You know, and tell your partner, listen, let me try to pass your guard. If I do pass, let's reset. Unless you mind. He's like, no, most of the time they won't mind. Yeah. You know, because it's a warm-up round too, you know. The first couple of rounds are going to be warm-up. And this is great. So you actually get to work from 0 intensity to if you want 100% intensity on the same one thing that you were having problem with yesterday. And hopefully by the end of the session, by the end of the class, you actually solve the problem, you know, with a little bit of external help, but you worked on your problem, you know, as opposed to everybody working on the same thing. That's just another method of teaching. I'm not saying this is the best I've done or the best I think it is. I don't think so. I don't know what's best because, like I said, everybody learns different.
Let me ask you this. I'm just thinking about this. How do you think it would work? Whereas, because like we said, the ecological approach it's cool. I understand the benefits, but it's like I still have other questions about it. Versus the way you just talked about, versus the traditional way. How and we were like, it's probably best for a combination of them.
Correct.
How does that look though?
Well,
Would you do a month of doing normal, or you do that twice a week?
I did 2 weeks of this. No,
because I don't know if that would get distracting.
I wouldn't. Yeah, I wouldn't do it twice a week, because what I do is I would like the person to be. If you can make it 3 times a week to class, and you can work, and maybe one other class where you just go and roll, one open mat. That's those 3 times a week. You've got opportunity to work on a couple of things, you know. And let's face it, if you can evolve, if you can add certain aspects to your game, even if it's not new things, not completely new things, just add more to your game that you're already playing. If you add an additional sweep from half guard, you're a half guard player, you get one sweep that sets up something that you already do anyway, but you add another sweep, or you add a submission to your arsenal in every 2 months or every month, you're probably winning.
You're going to be killing the game.
You're probably winning.
That accumulation of force.
Yes, you're probably winning, because within 1 year,
something.
yes, within 1 year you're gonna stack so many things on top of each other, things that are related, that your game is gonna take off.
It's when you're not stacking. It's when you're not building.
Correct.
Like I go to class one day and learn this,
and
then
learn
5 days
nothing, yes.
later that comes out.
So that's why I would run that for I ran it for 2 weeks as an experiment. I've never done it before. I've done it with myself. I've learned like this myself, but like I said, I had to make an appointment with somebody outside of class hours and all that. Luckily, I have a key from the gym, so it's not a matter of when the gym is open. It's a matter of when I can meet with that person, right? So, but in this case, I gave the opportunity to people to actually do it 3 times a week, maybe 4 times a week, whatever they I have 3 classes in the week, but you can work on it on your own time on top of it too.
Right.
You can work on it in class. You can tell your partner, hey, do you mind if I start from this position? You can work on your shit. Even better if you can get to that position in a free roll and then hit it, because
Right.
they don't know that you want to attack from half guard.
Right.
You just happen to put them in half guard as a
Right.
result of them trying to pass or something, and then you hit the sweep. So I did it for 2 weeks, but I also heard from people saying, I would also like to learn some new technique. So those are people
Which I get.
that maybe
Or they might be newer
yes,
students.
or newer or even older, but they don't spend time watching videos and instructionals. They also don't have an idea what to drill, and that's okay. That's as a result of them not watching anything outside of the class, or learning anything outside of the class, and that's okay. Maybe I can show you a technique then. So I'm gonna do like a couple of weeks of just good old-fashioned how I used to do it before, right? I mean, how I used to do it, how I did it until 2 weeks ago. And then, but actually I'm going to do that in 2 weeks from now. Right now what I'm doing is the ecological method. We did on Monday. On Monday we did some hand fighting from standing. We did some hand fighting, and how did we start? Do you remember? We started with...
I came in at like 10 minutes late, but it was...
Right, but it was...
One guy gets a 2...
You were in the other class though, yes. We started with... one guy gets 2-on-1 from standing, right? 2-on-1 wrestling. And then the goal is to
get behind him,
to get to the back. No, we didn't start with that. I'm sorry. We started with regular hand fighting and just get to the back. However you do it, without any resistance. I want the other person in front just to be there and to give you the hands, for you to fight, right? Now you start with a hand fight, elbow pass to the back, arm drag to the back, duck under to the back. All these kind of options, and do it on both sides. Do it for 2 minutes, and then the other person does it. And while this is happening, I'm watching, and the most common mistake I saw, and I did that on Sunday, by the way, too. The most common mistake I saw was people were doing it because we're trying to get to the back. Nobody was protecting their legs, so their stance was a little bit wrong. So in other words, nobody's more upright, which is okay. I mean, first of all, you're gonna get taken down probably with someone with a double or single leg. But also, when you're trying to get behind someone and they're a little more upright, you actually need to get around their shoulder. So you need to get close shoulder to shoulder and get behind, right? If we're upright from this distance, yes, we can hand fight here. But as soon as I grab your elbow and I try to get behind you, you're going to just pull your elbow. It's kind of easy. It's much easier if we get here, close, close, close. I get 2 on 1 and then I do this and I'm
Right.
already behind because I'm already closer.
Right.
So I did not say to people, keep your heads closed because I wanted people to experience how
I see what you're saying
difficult
now.
it becomes to arm drag somebody if you're not
Right.
like in a good position with the upper body. And then on the second round, I will tell people. And by the way, I had never done that before, and I experimented with that on Sunday, and I corrected myself on the second round when I told people, okay, now I want you to do it with a better stance by
That's
putting
when
it head
on
to head.
Sunday I came
yes,
in at that
correct,
point.
correct. And then people started doing it, and it made a lot more sense why arm drag works or elbow
Right.
pass is going to work because I'm very close head to head. My shoulders are close to your shoulders, and after all I need to do is put my shoulder here in order to get to the back. Now,
I think that makes it easier to understand.
right. So we went round by round, improving on the position, and then after that we decided, okay, now we're going to go with 2 on 1. We're going to grab 2 arms on one. You can grab it here or here, whatever you want to do. Not from Russian because it's a little more tying, but here or here. And then my partner is going to break that grip somehow, and there is only a few ways to do it. And as he does that, right, maybe I can go to the drag. Maybe he grabs the other arm here, whatever, we can go to the drag. If we're standing in front of each other, it will make more sense. But that was the goal. And in that progressive way, we actually ended up with more success in.
I like that because you're adding.
It's layered.
But you're instilling technique along with the game.
Correct. So I
And
did
why
the
you use
ecological.
that.
Yes, I did the ecological approach, but I did not restrict it as
I'm
much
gonna watch
as-
some classes of that because
Yeah.
he has classes where it's
You
just
can see
one
classes online?
Yeah,
On YouTube, yeah.
Yeah, and I want to watch one because I want to. I just need to
Send me the link.
I sure will. There's a bunch on there. Actually, I will.
I think I follow him on. I am subscribed on YouTube, but the algorithms work like you don't know what works and what doesn't anymore. Like in terms of algorithm, because I don't get. I'm subscribed to him and to Standard Jiu-Jitsu, and I do not get anything. So
I found one video and watched it at work. Or I didn't watch. I just listened to it. Dude, I look at the algorithm. It's just nothing but his stuff now. They send me. I'm not gonna watch all of it because there's a bunch on there.
Right. Send me something, and then I'll just follow the.
This
algorithm
one
and find
seminar
more.
he did. Dude, it's one of those. I need to listen to it again because he even explained, and I don't want to try to regurgitate it so as not to sound stupid, but he explained. He didn't give it the name ecological approach. The ecological approach is actually a thing that someone wrote about that has to do with other things.
I know it's not about jiu-jitsu. Yes.
And he was like, dude, I read all the white papers. I did all the research because he comes out using these words.
Yes.
And a lot of people in the
Kid Dale, Kid Dale.
Yeah.
Kid Dale has been preaching that shit for
Really?
ever since I started jiu-jitsu.
I've never really watched.
watched-
I see his stuff, but I never really watched.
When I was a
bunch of
white belt, I started jiu-jitsu. When I was a white belt, my friend, the one that I told you that was purple at the time, and we were drilling, at their gym, Kid Dale went to do a seminar, and I did not go to that seminar. I didn't know who Kid Dale was, but that's the first time I heard his name. And my friend didn't tell me what the seminar was about or anything like that because we never spoke about it after that. But I researched Kid Dale online. I saw some of his matches, and then he was talking back then. We're talking about 2016, I think. He was talking even back then about the way to learn. And again, I have a problem. He says it's been proven that this way is better to learn than this way. Look, you can say what you want. Everybody learns fucking differently, okay? It may have been proven in certain fields that this way works better,
Or maybe it might be more efficient.
Look, at the end of the day, if you have never done something, if I tell you, look, you got to do community service. I'm going to give you this tool, whatever it's called, the clamp, You go and pick out trash outside. You got this stretch over here, this block. You got to pick up the trash. I don't need to show you how to do the fucking thing. You're going to know how to do it when you go outside.
Right.
But if you have never done jiu-jitsu in your life before, and I don't show you what to do,
Right.
then your brain is not going to be learning. And by the way, you can make the counter argument to that. Well, because you've never done it, your muscle memory is not, you don't have muscle memory. So you got to build it by doing it,
That's my thing.
But not mindless repetitions, but this and that. So yeah.
It might work if you have 100 years. if I get somebody right off the street that doesn't know any jiu-jitsu,
I mean, there is this.
and I'm just like, okay, you go and you want to do this, but don't tell them how. After 20 years,
Well,
they might, in unlimited time, they might come up.
Yes, it's called randomness.
Right.
So if you give there was a thing that.
But I don't think that's efficient.
If you give a chimpanzee a typewriter.
Right. After a million years, he might do Shakespeare.
He might do Shakespeare,
Right,
right?
right.
So yes, randomness.
Right.
That's what it is. Given enough time and if you care about it. But I'm not saying that it doesn't work. Of course, it works.
But there needs to be some sort of foundation.
Some sort of foundation, first of all, and second of all, just because it has been proven in studies to work in certain fields doesn't mean that it works in every field.
Right.
Even if it does work in jiu-jitsu, not everyone learns the same way. Not everyone learns the same way. This is why when you ask me, oh, that seems like stupid to have like 3 different techniques not connected to each other. Not everyone learns the same way. If I give you 3 different techniques
Not
and
stupid,
you learn,
but just with me, I'd be like, the third one, I'm like, what was the first one?
Right, but do you need to know and if you learn one of them, then you're already ahead of your own game.
Right.
Right?
Right.
You don't need to learn the whole sequence.
And how I'm grading it is, one of my biggest things is learning something and then keeping it in my head. So that's why when I'm just like, when I think about that, I'm like, dude, by the time I learn the third thing, I'm wondering about the first thing now. And 2 days down the road, how much have I really, that's just something that I constantly think about.
Well, for example, tomorrow, we're going to continue with the same approach, right, for the next 2 weeks. So, for example, tomorrow I might be doing, let's say, an armbar. And it's going to be like this. The person on the bottom will start in a hands. We're talking about Jiujitsu armbar from, regular armbar from the side, from top side. So the person on top is going to start with a hand clasp like this, and on the bottom. And the person that's attacking has to break the grip, So I want everybody to figure out how you break the grip. And then I'm going to observe, because there's going to be a few different pairs, and I'm going to look at who's doing what.
I love that.
And there's going to be the same error is going to be happening over and over again, unless, of course, it's experienced people who know how to do it. But you're going to see the same thing occurring. Then I will decide what I'm going to do the next round because it makes no sense to me I could easily show you what to do, and then you can drill it a few times, but what if the guy grabs his hands instead of here like this next time in live roll? Right. You breaking the arms this way is not the same as breaking the arms this way, because you need control with the other arm now. So I want to make it more random, I'm not even going to tell people, I'm telling you that now because you're not coming tomorrow to class.
You got to be working 6.
Right, but nobody will see this until tomorrow, until probably later this week anyway. So, but I'm not going to tell them how to clasp their hands. And if somebody asks me, does it matter, kudos to them, because it does matter, right? But I'm not going to tell them how to clasp the hands. I'm going to tell them just get a gable grip and defend, right? And then you will see that different people will get a different gable grip. It depends which side you're on, how you're going to break that grip.
I've never even thought about this, but tell me if I'm right. Just, if you're on this side of my body, okay, I'm doing this.
Well, I don't know.
I feel like this is it's more apt to come out this way than, I feel like I'm hooking all my own.
So it depends which way you're going to go. It depends which way so if you finish the armbar here, grab the arms, right? So if you're holding there, right, and you start breaking, right? So how are you breaking? Are you breaking that way or this way?
I want to take it this way.
You gotta take it this way. Then what you're probably gonna do is go this here and then. So go with this arm here, and then with this arm you're gonna pull
here
that way. Yes, right.
See,
so I'm just saying that you could do that too, right? I would probably grab my arms this way here, but then I'm vulnerable to breaking it that way, right? So it doesn't. It really matters a lot on the situation. Like, you're gonna feel it when it starts pulling. You can always do this and this, right? You can also grab here. You can do that. So we're gonna progress into different things. But it'll teach people to both defend and attack at the same time, as opposed to just showing you an arm bar attack and all that.
And also, I've been in over the hundreds of years, I've been in that position so many times. It's almost like, as opposed to a guy that's only been doing jiu-jitsu for 2 years.
Yeah.
It's like I can kind of feel
that's why you're asking me which way you would hold it, because
I'm like
but I know for a fact when I get the armbar position on you, you're gonna know instinctively which way to hold it and all that. You're just not gonna think about it right now. Like when you do it, you're not gonna think about it, which is the right way and the wrong way. The right way really depends on what kind of grip you have on me, right?
Okay,
but
100%.
But I'm not gonna
100%.
I'm not gonna sweat about it and tell people if he grabs this way, because now you're over.
There's a black hole there.
Yeah.
Well, what if he does this?
Yes,
What if this happens?
What if he involves his legs?
Right.
So I'm gonna.
What if you're going against Jay Rodriguez?
We're gonna evolve it to the point where, seeing how it goes, maybe on Friday we're gonna do actual finishes, because a lot of people tap early to arm bars, and that's understandable. We tap early to arm bars, at least in it's.
I still think I do.
This is funny
compared to like when I watch Jay Rodriguez or something,
right?
and all the crazy.
Of course, but it's funny because I've seen people in the gym tap early to arm bars, and then when they go compete, they don't tap early. It's like, bro, how many times in the gym did you have your arm extended and you started doing this and fighting it? You know, hyperextend it a little bit maybe, and maybe have it slightly injured, but nothing serious, you know, put you out for 2 days, whatever. How many times did you actually practice that to have the confidence to go in a competition and actually let your arm get extended for the $5 medal that you're going to get, right? So I've seen that happen, and I'm like, no, you either do it in the gym in a controlled environment where you tell the other person, so here's how you do it. You tell the other person, don't break my arm, just let me move, but don't let me out. But don't break my arm. I'm going to move at my own pace, because if I move the wrong way and you're not moving, I'm not going to break my arm, because I'm moving at my own pace. I'm moving slow, right? And I'm going to know, okay, so if I maybe I have to do this, maybe that, you know? And then I'm going to tell you, give me a little bit of resistance, not too much. Don't break my arm, right? Then we're going to do that on the other side, you know? So there's always, and that helps you as an arm breaker. It helps you because you're going to know which way to turn your body depending on how they escape, right? So both of us are training something at the same time, and we're gonna figure it out.
That's how I kind of do arm bars anyway. And if my thing is, when I get in, even with, I got a guy in a straight footlock Monday, and the last time I was in an arm bar, I just remember this. Once I get there, I'm like, okay, once I think I have it, and sometimes with the footlock I got it, sometimes with the arm bars I won't, but I won't, like...
Yeah.
I get it to... I'm like, okay, I think this is it. And sometimes that's not it. But I'm still trying... I'm like... I'm activating it how I think I should go. And sometimes I'll get it, but sometimes I'll get out. And I don't feel bad when they get out. I don't think, oh, well, I could have... maybe if I would have done this.
No, of course not. No.
Because to me, like Pete talks about it a lot with the heel hooks and stuff. He's like, get control.
Yeah.
He's like, if the dude doesn't tap, he's like, Pete's like, I'll let it go.
The problem with the heel hooks when you do the same thing is that people don't know what they're doing. Whereas arm bar, people will know. It's like, oh, that doesn't feel comfortable, I'll tap. But some people are going to be like extending and stuff. I've had people fight it like they go, and I know I've got a good position, and I know that if I want to break it, I'll break it. But I know that they'll tap when they feel that they can't go anymore, left or right. You know, they'll be like, okay, that's it. I can't go any further, right? And then they tap. I don't try to break the arm.
See, that's how I am.
But I don't
like,
really,
I'm kind of stuck. I might be able to fight. If I was out in the street and it was for my life, I would fight, obviously. But I got to go to work tomorrow.
Yeah, of course. I
got to go to jiu-jitsu.
Of course, but just because you separate my arms for me to tap here, you know, unless I'm going against someone crazy, someone that's been pulling like crazy.
That's not helpful.
I'm probably going to tap early. But I'm not going to tap if I'm going with someone controlled, you know, and it's like, oh, and I go here and I'm going to try something else, right? Before I tap.
Right.
I might still tap early relative to what I have as an opportunity. Maybe I'm like, oh, you know what, if I had to try it. But I'm definitely not going to wait for the 2 seconds on the clock to tap, you know, because it might be too late.
Right.
So, but that's what I'm planning on trying out before I go back to instruction and all that, because I want to do the instruction too, because I want to give something new, you know. But I do believe that people are learning either way.
So you're going to kind of, to answer my question a little bit, or is this just the beginning where you're doing blocks of your curriculum? Like you'll do 2 weeks like this, then 2 weeks like this, then 2 weeks.
I'll see what the response is.
Okay.
Because I don't know how people are. Oh, and then the question arises, well, what if you're brand new? Because you can ask that too. And actually that fucking happened.
That happened with the big dude.
Yeah.
Justin.
No, but that was yes, that was the other day. That was yesterday.
Yeah.
But the week before there was a new guy, brand new guy comes in. First fucking class ever. He comes in and it happens to be this class where I'm telling people drill your own stuff, work on your own stuff. And the guy has no idea what to work on because he's never done jiu-jitsu. So what do? I pair him up with a black belt, with Ross, and I tell him, Ross, please, let the guy escape side control. You know why? Because number one thing beginners ask you, is people who have done a little bit of jiu-jitsu is, how do I escape side control? So I would say, let him get out of side control, show him the very basics. Let him get out of side control a few times, get on top, and then go back to it.
So if it's a brand
new
student,
so I give him something
right.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, because how the fuck is he gonna know what to drill if he's never done it before?
I love that.
And what are you gonna say? Well, what do you tell him to do? Well, this is what I would tell him to do.
Right.
Either that, maybe mount escape, stuff like this.
Start
Stuff that
yep.
you may encounter in your first 6 months
right.
all the time. You're probably not going to get mounted a lot because you're going to be rolling with a lot of people who don't mount, because mount is something that people do as they get a little more advanced, because it's a parallel. Mount is less stable than side control.
Yep.
With that being said, mount is so much better, but it's less stable, and people, beginners, intermediate, have trouble in the mount. They get rolled over all the time, in other words. But I would say escaping side control is super important. I'm not going to bother people with half guard or close guard, because you have to know, you got to be in a relatively good position to start playing close guard or half guard, But side control, you're always going to find yourself in bottom side. So you definitely need to know how to escape that as a first goal, beginner's goal.
So you need to name your.
I'm just mixing it up a little bit. That's all.
Let's name it, and then the next podcast we can just talk about how
and we're gonna convince that 10 years from now, everybody will be doing the right thing. But until then, everybody's doing the wrong thing while winning world championships.
While winning.
Anyway, it's late. Let's get the fuck out of here.
Yes.
Anything else you want to say?
I enjoyed this as usual.
Yeah, of course. That's a given. But I meant anything you want to say for, to my Android over there.
Keep training.
Yeah.
That's the hardest thing sometimes.
Keep showing up. Yeah, that is the hardest thing, because,
that's the one thing in all my troubles and all my celebrations and failures. Gustavo always just and I always try to tell him, I'm going to keep coming back. And he's like, keep coming back. That's the most important thing.
With that being said, keep coming back doesn't mean if your body tells you not to train, to come back and train. In general, keep coming back.
You got to rest, because this has to last.
Yes.
This has to last.
If you have
you'll be
injuries,
48. You got to last like another 30, 40 years. Rest when you can, because we're thinking about the back end. But as long as you're in your mindset, keep showing up. Even the guy, and we're almost done. The guy from Fight Sports, that he was like a
Cyborg.
Well, no, his name is Ben. He was wrestling and he got hurt. He was a young kid, really good.
Oh, okay.
I think he was a brown belt or whatever. He got hurt. He's like in a wheelchair now.
Oh, shit.
And he is so inspirational to me, because he's like on Instagram and just living his best life. And I just imagine most people would be like, oh man, I can't do what I used to do, and I'm depressed now or whatever.
Yeah.
And he's living he does the roller ball.
Just making the best out of what's given to you.
He keeps showing up. They even have him on the mats and stuff, and I'm just like, that's so inspirational, and it's important to me. Just keep coming back.
Yeah, not a chore.
It'll serve you.
Yeah.
Jiu-jitsu has served me so well over these years.
At the end of the day, if you can't make it a lifestyle, if it doesn't become your lifestyle, then it's just not for you. You don't have enough interest in it. If you got to a blue belt and you quit, it's because you were chasing the blue belt, most likely. Most likely that's what happened. Most
you
likely.
know what? That's
Sometimes people quit. We spoke about it, I think, last time with Sean. Sometimes people quit because they move away and they have no opportunity to train, and that's fine. But if you have the opportunity to train and you stop training, don't beat yourself over it. The blue belt, blues, and all that stuff. Don't worry about it. It's not. Maybe it wasn't for you in the first place. Maybe you got to a level that you wanted to get to.
And go and do your thing.
Go and do your thing, man. Do something else. Start running marathons or whatever. Doesn't matter.
Don't stop because.
Yes. Don't. If you're interested in it, don't stop because of, external factors.
Keep coming back.
Keep coming back if you can. If you're still interested in it, keep coming back. Even if you take a 2-year hiatus or whatever.
Yeah. If you need to take time, take time.
Come back because you're. It's gonna come back to you like this.
100%.
Yeah, it's not. You're not gonna be like, oh, I forgot everything. If you forgot everything, you didn't know it in the first place.
100%.
So yeah. All right, man.
All right, brother.
That was it. Thank you, guys. We'll see you for episode 9 the next time.
9. How old are we getting?
Jesus, it's been. Has it already been?
Dude, it's gonna come the time we're gonna be like, oh, Four Cauliflower Ears, number 100.